Welcome everyone to the Omaha High School Sports Playoff Previews and Prediction Show. I'm your host, Dannymadeit, with my co-host later on in the show. This is the state championship final show, and this show is brought to you by Rocket Roofing General Contractor, Medis, TT's Training and Performance. So this is a huge week, obviously, fantasy football. We got We got a lot of things to do, a lot of segments to cover in every single class. So how this is going to be running down for first-time watchers or just kind of get the feeling of how the show's going to go for every single class, this is how we're going to do it. First off, we're going to start with the regular preview, talking about stats, talking about matchups, just that kind of stuff. And then next, we're doing a film preview. So we're going to go over the first few drives of certain games that I picked from both of these teams just to kind of get a feeling of a little bit more X's and O's. And then for the third segment on the class, we are going to be doing just regular picks. I'm going to give you my pick. And then for the fourth segment of the class, fourth out of five, we're going to do a fantasy football team where I pick a few players out of each class, each game, and then make a fantasy football team that kind of goes by points per reception scoring format. And then for the fifth and final segment of all of these classes preview is the playoff preview and predictions semi or state championship final player interviews. So stay tuned for the player interviews as well at the end of them. We got a lot of stuff to cover here, and we're going to just go ahead and dive right into it. I hope you guys enjoy. And now we're going to head right into Class A. So now we head over to Class A. This is what's going to start it all here. Starting with Class A, of course, and we're going to go down the classes of 11 man. So obviously, we got a big game here, of course, state championship finals. But as far as matchup, man, like I've said all season long with anybody who plays Millard South, it's just so tough to look for paths to victory for the opposite team. But we're going to do my absolute best. We're going to do film with this one, so stay tuned at the end of this. At the end of the preview, we're going to be doing film, and then we'll finish it off with our predictions in the player interviews as well. So that is going to just lead us here. We're going to do a basic, just kind of what I think right now, and then we'll hop in, of course, like to the film. So we'll start off with Millard South last week. A crazy performance offensively really defensively as well. Offensively, for the most part, versus West Side, they put up 62 points versus West Side. It's just they're really good teams. We'll talk about their offense first. Jet Tamala threw 7 touchdowns and 463 yards through the air. Incredible numbers. And rushing the ball, they weren't extremely effective. Nelson Wheeler, their number one guy, averaged just a little bit over 5.1 yards per carry. But really, as a unit, they averaged 3.7 yards per carry. Not a ton of volume there, but this is a passing team. They really pride themselves in their explosive passing ability. For receiving, obviously, a Marion Jackson they got back playing a little bit hurt. I think he has a Solion, or maybe he's 100%. We don't know that for sure, but a Marion Jackson looks like he's healthy on the field. He had 6 catches, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Huge have the back. And then number 10, Owen Zeck, seven catches, 116 yards, 3 scores for him. Isaac Jensen, their big tight end, 3 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. And then yeah, I mean, this is just a phenomenal group. They have so many weapons. Marion Jackson, Nelson Wheeler, Gabe Prucha, Owen Zek, Isaac Jensen, Jet Tamala, of course, you can't forget about. I mean, it's just super overwhelming for them. It's a lot of stuff to deal with defensively. But speaking of defensively, let's see how they performed against Westside, who has a really explosive offense versus the pass. Braylon Warren went 8 for 18, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. So that's a decent number, 184 yards as well. But on the rushing grounds, this is where they were able to make their money. This is where they were extremely successful. 1.9 yards per carry as a rushing unit. Braylon Warren rushed the ball 10 times for a single yard. Tay Jenkins, 17 tries for 50 yards, 2.9 per pop on the ground. So this is where you're not going to be able to run the ball on this Miller South team. They've just been phenomenal all year on defense and also offense. It's just they're all around fantastic. It's a really tough ask for anybody. But we're going to go ahead and switch it over to Papillion LaVista South. Let's see what they can do. I mean, they had a close game with Creighton Prep. Um, so let's take a look at kind of the splits here versus Creighton Prep. They were pretty decent through the passing yards, no touchdowns or interceptions for Creighton Prep passing, but they only had 68 yards per passing. So good day for Papillion the Vista South's defense. Offensively, they were able to run the ball decently well, 5.1 yards per carry. Angelo Walker, Creighton Prep's number one guy, had 5.4, 161 yards on two scores. So he's a really good running back, though. He's certainly on par with those guys that they played. Were Millard South's running backs, I think. Angelo Walker is a very, very solid back. Nelson Wheeler obviously is super explosive, but no, Nelson Wheeler and Angelo Walker could be uh, two guys that are pretty similar as far as skill level. Of course, they have different skill sets. Of course, Wheeler is a little bit smaller and just more explosive. But we won't get into that too much. But Papillion Vista's offense, they did pretty well. 8.2 yards per carry on the ground, which is a fantastic number. Logan Arch is continuing to be really, really good in the absence of Derek Jones. Really an unsung hero. Of course, I've mentioned that before. Logan Arch had 15 carries, 195 yards, and two scores for Papillion Vista South. Really good number to be at. Great number to be at. And then passing, QB1 went 9 for 15, 135 yards and a score. Really efficient through the air. Nothing to complain about there. But it's just a different type of defense they're about to go against here this week in Millard South. They have been so good throughout the season. So I kind of said good a little weird there, but kind of ignore that. But they've been really good this season. So it's just a tough ask, really, for anybody. I know I keep saying that. It's just they're a really, really good football team. I would love to sit here and say I have full confidence in Papillion La Vista. They have a solid squad, and I think in other years, maybe not the past 2 years, but in other years, they could have been a little bit more competitive and had a lot more of a chance. It's no indictment on them. Millard South, of course, they have some. There's some noise about how they get their players and maybe it's not exactly homegrown as you like, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about just what they have, and on the field, what they have is just phenomenal, and it's one of the best high school football teams the state has seen. You've seen it last year, and they're building on a lot of the guys last year as well. So this is just a better version of that last year's team, of course. So. That's going to bring us to the other stuff. So I will catch you guys here on the film. We're going to watch the first few drives of each team and give you kind of what my film breakdown. And I've watched a little bit of film on these guys before, but we'll continue it here ahead of this state championship game. And then we will move on to the pick. And then finally, or the last two things, we're going to do the fantasy team as well as the player interview. So I'll see you guys on the film. All right, guys. So now we're gonna head to the film room. We're gonna watch the first few drives of both of these games. I'll kind of explain why I picked these as well. Not really too deep, but here we go. We're gonna start off with Millard South here versus Papillion La Vista, just the regular Papillion La Vista, not the South one. So we're gonna start off the ball here. This is, I mean, just again, this is kind of what you want as far as matchups here. Not too far off. Papillion Vista didn't make the playoffs, but they were pretty good. Papillion Vista South is obviously a bit above this team, but yeah. So this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna watch the first few drives of these teams, um, and then we'll kind of give you guys what I see and kind of tendencies and how these teams are gonna play each other. Just do my best here to create a vision of what can come on Monday night, I believe, Monday or Tuesday night. Cannot tell you for sure which one it is, but we'll go ahead and say one of those two. So, of course, this is a team that's going to have the entire playbook open. There is nothing that this team can't run. There's nothing that this team is not going to throw. As we seen last week, whenever I watched this film, they're going to give Jet Tamala here a huge lane. He's going to be able to make any of these throws. They're going to let him throw anything on the field, backside dicks, whatever it is. They're going to have him throw whatever it is. Any part of the field is not safe defensively. And yes, but again, another reason why I picked this is right here in the slot, number one, Amarian Jackson. He's in the game. He's going to be in the game, of course, against Papillion LaVista South in the championship. And then also, they run a similar type of defense. They're a three front. So, as far as the front here goes, it's a similar type of defense. But let's go ahead. So, immediately here, uh, just a huge wide set. You got four receivers, two on the outside, and then you got Gabe Prucha here starting the game at running back, five offensive linemen. They're not going to worry about chips very much, and just obviously starting off the play here, they're all just kind of the RPO. He's going to get it to Jensen for a nice 8-yard gain. I mean, that's what it is. If you're going to play that far off, this is a team that can run all of these plays. They're going to run whatever you give them and more. So they'll probably start off what you give them and then kind of expand on that as the game goes. So now they're in a second and short. You've got an overloaded trip set here with number 10 in the slot. Gabe Prucha is still in the game, and then you have 88 over there just by himself. Five linemen. Again, they're not going to have too many tight ends here to help and chip because they trust these linemen and they're really good. So they're going to send Amarian Jackson in a motion to see whether or not they're in zone or man. Looks like they're in zone. Didn't give a guy following him. Jetmal, a clean pocket, steps up. Looks like he's just going to take what a defense gives him, and he runs for the first down and a little bit more. I mean, Jetmal is a super smart quarterback, and he's also super talented. So he throws a little bit of interceptions from here and there, but for the most part, he's so explosive, this offense, that sometimes those interceptions can not matter as much. He doesn't throw too many of them, but this is where we go here. That's a little bit different. You got five down linemen, and you also have a tight end now. So we'll see how they kind of run this. And you also have a wing right here, sending number 10 in a motion to the right side, and it's a fake kind of sweep there, and they're just going to give it just a little bit of eye candy, and they're going to gain about a yard there. So that's a nice play by Papillion LaVista for that. So it's just tough to face this offense. You have so many playmakers, and also, like I've been saying, they have the whole playbook open. You're not going to see too many boring concepts. So again, five linemen. You have the running back coming outside of the backfield. He's got plenty of space here. Jetmal is going to rip it across the middle for Amarian Jackson, and he makes one guy miss, and he gets there. So this is what it is with this Millard South defense. They have two guys that were wide open, and Jetmal is going to be a little bit more aggressive and fire it across the middle, and kind of an inside dig route to Jackson, and he's their number one guy. He's going to get most of the catches. He's going to get most of the volume. So obviously he's their guy. And now we have something a little different. We got a big old lineman here in the slot, number 74. And then they're going to shift out. Looks like this could be a screen type of play where they throw it to Jensen, but we'll see what happens. 74 in the slot. That's kind of weird. I haven't seen anything like that. Okay, it's going to be a screen play, not to Jensen, but to Amarian Jackson. This is a really fun play to watch. Kind of give you the sense that it's going to Jensen, but it goes to Amarian Jackson there. And also the confidence to have 74 out there in space is really promising to see as far as his skill level. He's a left tackle, and they put him in the slot. So now, again, a similar look. Passing. They're going to send a little bit of stuff up front, some stunts. They pick it up, and it's also a screen, so they're just going to give it to Amarian Jackson here. That's 3 targets so far, and Amarian Jackson is going to take it to the house, and that's what you like to see if you are a Millard South fan. It's just they get it done. They make these things look so easy offensively. So I guess we'll see what the flag is here. Skip forward. Okay, so it was on the offense. So we're going to get a redo down here. Got it heavier up front for the defense. We got 3 down linemen and the linebacker just right in that A gap. So we'll see what they do here. They've got a tight end to the left of the left tackle. Take the snap. A little bit of difference up front. I mean, they're getting pressure is the thing here. They are getting pressure from these stunts, but of course you find a guy wide open in the sticks, and he's got it for a first down. Really smart play, and that's kind of the risk here of sending some guys. Jet Jamal is going to diagnose it almost every single time and find the open guy. So, but I do like the pressure they're getting here. They're really getting after him as far as pressure goes. A lot of motion for this North-South offense. They run a really advanced type of offense. And here we go. This is what I was talking about. This is a big time throw. He's throwing a corner route outside the numbers, and they find Marion Jackson wide open for the score. Fantastic celebration ability here by 66 and 54. That's some bonus points. So now we get to watch this defense. I haven't watched a lot of this Millard South defense. So I'm excited to kind of watch this. We'll skip the kickoff. Can't really diagnose the kickoff too much. Yeah, as we know, this defense has been historically great. I'm excited to watch what they do, though, and how they line up. So it looks like immediately we are just a vanilla 4-3 with this overhang. I'm not sure if this is a nickel. It could be a 4-2, but we'll see as the plays go on. We're going to get a stoppage play here. So skip forward a little bit more. Let's see what this Millard South defense is all about. I mean, they aren't necessarily so much bigger than these guys. I mean, this one right here is pretty big. He looks pretty tall. But as far as size goes up front, I think that Papillion and LaVista South is definitely going to be able to compare in size. Going to go on a double count here. So now immediately I'm paused here, and this linebacker is already reacting. And you see this center here is probably going to try to work up to number 0, but he's already reacting, and that's what I like to see. You even have motion blur on this guy. He's already reacting. Very reactionary, it looks like. And he's going to meet the guy right there. That's a really, really nice play by number 0. And immediately off of the tape, I think that he might be one of their best players on defense. He is their Mike backer. But yeah, just highlighting him. He already looks like he knows the play. He's already kind of leading up. And he's just super reactive. And then you got this center here. He's just going to meet him in there. And that's a really physical play. He's going to bounce off of him instantly and then come up and help clean the tackle. Also, 85 set the edge really well. He had to cut it up inside. So, of course, these guys are very reactionary already, so I like how they play as a unit already. One play in. The linebackers look super aggressive. Got a different look for Millard South. Got their Mike linebacker just way outside. Not way outside, but he's over here outside of this left end. And you also have a stand-up defender here. You're going to kick your end a little bit over and have the stand-up defender here, probably just because of this look. Okay, we're going to have him scoot over, move out. And then you're going to show you've got how many guys? You got 6 guys at the line of scrimmage here. This is difficult to digest as a high school quarterback. Especially you just went for a 4-front last week or last play, and now you're here with 6 guys in your face and also a chance at this nickel defender coming. But probably not, just because we have no safety help. So just these six guys up here that you have to worry about as the quarterback. And they're going to send all 6 And this is a nice play call. You're gonna have that 6 guy in front look, and you're gonna throw the screen. So it's up to these guys to make a block, and also up to number 28 here to make a play versus these guys, which I know this is a tough ask, but Papillion LaVista South does have Elon Washington, who they do some of this type of stuff with. So I think that maybe him is a little bit better in this scenario than that player. But I do like that play call. The DBs were able to rally really well though and defeat the blocks. Okay, so we have another different type of look. It's a similar look. You've got 0 here. Yep, it's going to be the same look. They're going to just show. And also we have a timeout on Millard South. All right, same exact look. You've got these 2 backers showing. Usually most of the time, if they're doing all of this where they're like kind of running up, they're going to go back. And now since we have a little more zone coverage as well, you don't have these DBs play as close as we've seen in that other look. So we could see these 2 linebackers come out, and they will. So, I mean, but they do run a stunt up front and 85, or no, it looks like a screen actually. And they're going to have, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to run a screen to number 4. They've got a bunch of linemen up front. I like that play call as well. It's a nice little gain, but it does set up a 3rd down. Or no, that was 3rd down. Fourth and 1. They're going to punt it. We'll go through here. Little trick play. Flea flicker. Marion Jackson's going to give it to Tamala. He's going to fire real deep. Incomplete to Gabe Prucha. I want to watch this defense a little more. We already know that this offense is super explosive and hard to play, but I think the matchup here is the defense versus Papillion LaVista South's offense. Okay. Different look. You've got 0 here shuffling with the motion. It's going to look like it's going to be a draw. No, it's play action. He's got immediate pressure, so he has to get it out kind of on his back foot and see what happened downfield. And, I mean, you see that they've gotten a couple of false starts at this point. You know that the defensive line is getting in their head. Got a heavy set from the offensive side. You got a tight end. You got a tight end over here, too, or just another lineman. Again, forefront, similar to what we've seen at the first play that we watched. 0 in at the mic. He's already leaning forward. Does his job and meets in the gap. So didn't get too much there. I mean, this defense, they're going to throw a lot at you mentally is what they are. They're very well coached on defense. Everyone's doing their job, as we've seen. So this will be the last play that we watch more than likely. 3rd and 14. You got them backed up. Let's see how they respond. Similar forefront, 4-2 instead of that 3. So they're more than likely just a 4-2 for the most part. Got a couple pullers. I mean, immediately they have all of these guys already up the field and just nobody there. They're going to get them for a safety. So that's all we're going to watch as far as Millard South goes. So now we're going to move on to Papillion LaVista South versus Omaha North. Omaha North is probably the most explosive offense I could find that's somewhat comparable to Millard South. So we'll go with this. Missed that play. So it looks like they had a pretty good gain here. This was with Derek Jones, though. You see number 2 here. But Logan Arch is not anyone to ignore. So So we're going against a 4 front here, just a stand-up defender. They're more than likely a 3 front, but we'll see. Got a wing here by Papillion and LaVista South. It's going to be just kind of a sprint out. I mean, the sprint out type of offense is going to be a little bit better for just a crazy defensive line that they're going to throw a lot at you. You're going to want to sprint out that quarterback to eliminate any extra pressure. So I do like that approach. Maybe they're going to carry that over to the Millard South game as well. They're not going to want the quarterback to just sit in the pocket and let it fly. And also they have Arch. They're going to run the ball. We got 2 pullers here on this play. This guy is going to meet the puller. They're going to give it to him in a nice hard run by Jones for the first. I mean, the key to victory for this game really is it's tough, but the key to victory here, I think, is you got to be quick and decisive, and these receivers are going to have to show up. I think that they're the biggest part of this game. Logan Arch, as good as he is and as good as I think he is, it's an 11-man game. It's a team sport. I think that the defensive line is going to give them a lot of trouble up front. And they're just a really fast unit and they get to it. So it's tough to see so much lanes of victory for Papillion and LaVista South. I mean, we do have some beef up here. These are some beef guys. Maybe if they try to run it up the middle and maybe catch them on some sort of stun up front, I can get some yards and kind of gash them. But number 0 for Millard South is a good player, and we'll be able to diagnose a little bit. So we're going to send a little bit of motion, just kind of like that. I mean, they ran the ball really nice there. They had the motion to kind of get a DB outside of the play. So we got, looks like 4 receivers up 2 on the outsides, and just a plain running back right to his left or right. And they're going to keep him home, which I really, really like that they're keeping this running back home, because they're absolutely going to have to keep the running back home versus Millard South, just to kind of help with either stunts or just extra pressure. Put flag on the play. Now we're gonna. It looks like they're in the same look, just him to his left. Oh no, they're not in the same look. We got trips on the left and a lone receiver to his right. Looks like they're pretty far off. You see that Millard South does play far off sometimes. We'll see if they can take it and get what they get. So we'll see how they execute this play. Nope. Okay, they're going to send 2 pullers. That's kind of a regular draw here. Number 2 is going to get there. I mean, there he goes. Derek Jones is a really good player, but Logan Arch, he can make some of these plays. He's maybe not as explosive as Jones, but Logan Arch is certainly capable back. He's definitely capable of doing these type of draw plays, especially if Millard South, like I said, is caught up in a stunt or something like that. Same look. Oh, we got a relatively similar look, but instead of trips, they're going to put it onto this right side. Or no, they're just going to send 82 in a motion, and I use him as a blocker, try to get outside, and Jones makes a nice play there. Gets a few yards, maybe 8. I mean, they're running the ball super well with Derek Jones here. I think that they're going to be a little more involved in the passing game this game. Here's a screen pass. Of course, we're probably going to see a lot of those when they get the ball out quick. Nice play by Washington. That's exactly what I said in Washington versus the Millard North cornerbacks. As long as they can be able to block up front the receivers are going to have to block this game. As much as the receivers don't want to block and get dirty, they're going to have to block this game if they want any sort of chance, because those screen plays are absolutely going to have to be part of this game plan. And you're going to have to block well for them. And especially, I mean, you don't have to block extremely well every single time, but you're going to want a couple plays to where you gash them, and it's going to have to hold them to a different standard defensively. They're going to have to be a little more cautious of the screenplay, and maybe you can run like a double move or some sort of deep route off of that. I mean, it really just sets up everything. The next play here, we've got 5 down linemen and a tight end to the right, 2 receivers to the right, and also a lone one, number 1 by himself. A lot of motions here by Papillion LaVista South as well. And it's the same. It's RPO wide open. I mean, this is what I like to see as a someone who wants to see this game be competitive for the sake of football. So let's see. We've got 4 guys up front. I mean, you've got this linebacker here showing that he might blitz. He's in that type of stance. And this is really nice because Millard South linebackers are very, very reactionary. If you can kind of threaten the RPO here, that's a nice thing to see. And really nice play by the quarterback here. He's going to find his tight end, number 82. Really nice play by this offense. I really like how they scheme that up. He's wide open. And we're going to need to see some creative stuff like that. Speaking of creative, there you go. There's some. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're going to run that. We'll see. I'm not going to diagnose that too much. All right, so let's watch this defense. Of course, there are 3 front. They got their big guy in the middle. Not for this game. They don't have him in now, but they do have number 72, 73, one of the 2 up here in the middle, and the big beefy in the front, who I really like as a player. Around the ball here. Yeah, so I mean, as far as personnel goes compared to Omaha North, running back wise, Jaron Cannon for Omaha North is a really solid player. He's going to compare to Nelson Wheeler. They don't have a bruiser back like Kate Prucha, so that's a little bit disadvantage here for me. But they also have Darian Jones, number 11 here, who you can kind of compare to Marion Jackson. Darian Jones is more of a DB than a receiver, but here's a screenplay here, and the ball kind of floats out a little bit. When we go to Millard South and Memorial Stadium, that ball is going to be coming out a lot quicker with a lot more zip on those screen passes, so they're going to have to be a little more reactionary up front. I mean, they did well there, but they need to be ready for a quicker pass there versus Jetabala. So now we got a heavier front. Just going to be a straight give to Cannon. Nice play by the linebacker. I really like that play by number 8. Is that Arch? I cannot remember if Arch is number 8 or number 3. One of the 2. That was a nice play by the linebacker, even though they did stop him. Or no, even though they got the first. So I like that play. Very physical play. Came up and met the runner. Sending a number 4 here on a blitz. The right tackle is not going to pick it up. They're going to leave him one-on-one with a running back. So incomplete. Again, Jetamala is going to throw a little bit better of a ball than that. And a lot more zip. Another run play. And it's a pretty big explosive one. Jaron Cannon is going to take it to the house. I mean, you have Nelson Wheeler. He's certainly capable of that, but I think Jaron Cannon is a better back than Nelson Wheeler. But Nelson Wheeler is definitely capable of that. But it's close. And the thing is with this team, Omaha North, they have 2 guys on offense. Millard South has 5 or 6 guys on offense that can beat you just like that. So it's really, really tough here as far as comparing the 2. So, yeah, that's going to conclude the film part of this. So we're going to move on to the pick. And then we'll move on to the fantasy team and player interview after. But here's my pick. I think Millard South is going to win, but I think that the first half can be close. I like how Papillion LaVista South calls their offense specifically. I've watched a few games of their offense now. I like how they play, but defensively, I just don't know if they have the personnel to just compete with this North South offense. Um, but offensively, I think that they could. They could put some points up. I think that they could put 28 maybe up to our 35, depending on what the score is at that point. But Millard South's offense is absolutely going to have success in this game. Papillion Vista South just needs to come out and do their job. I mean, as long as people are not just super out of position defensively, they're going to have some successful drives defensively. But you need to go in there and do your job, and try not to. How do I put this? Be a hero in a game this big because Millard South absolutely takes advantage of those players that are going to cut inside when they're not supposed to, and they have outside contain. They're gonna take advantage of that. They're going to take advantage of every single mistake, and you need to play mistake-free football, which is not easy. But it's that's why I'm picking Millard North here or Millard South here. So it's a tough game for Papua Vista South, but I really do like their team. I like how they're coached offensively, especially. It's just a really, really tough ask. And yeah, I'm going to go with Millard South here for my pick. And that is going to bring us to the fantasy football segment. Now we head on to the fantasy football segment. So, got a lot of segments this time, and should be a pretty long show. A lot of content here. Hopefully, it pays off, and you guys have a fun time watching. So now, how this is going to work? Fantasy football for first-time watchers. I know there's probably a lot since this is a state championship preview. But how this works is we're going to pick a running back, or no, we're going to pick a quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, and a flex meaning the flex meaning it can be a receiver, running back, or whatever, or tight end. Um, so that being said, we're going to dive right into this and how fantasy football works. It's just kind of individual performance rather than team. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of team in there, but it kind of highlights the individual a little bit more than we do with the teams earlier in this preview. So with quarterback, I think that the no-brainer pick here is to go with Jet Tamala at my quarterback. I mean, he's been really, really good all year. I don't think it's going to stop here. I don't think that there's a single team in Class A, any class, that can stop him from getting these fantasy points at least. So for running back number one, um, there's a little bit of a there's three running backs in this game really that are pickable, I think. But I think the biggest one here is Nelson Wheeler for Millard South. I think he's going to be my number one running back. A second running back is between Gabe Prucha and uh, Arch here, Logan Arch. I'm going to pick Logan Arch for running back number two. He's their main guy, and he's really been putting up a performance lately. And especially, I don't think he's going to have the super dominant day on the ground, but they could get him involved in the passing game. He could have some receptions. It's also points per reception. So get a point per reception. I think that he could have some success there. Especially, I think that they're going to be running a lot of quicker things, quicker screens, trying to take advantage of an aggressive front end linebacking core. My wide receiver number one is a Marion Jackson. I think that he's easily the best receiver here. Um, yeah, Marion Jackson's going to be my pick here. I think that he's going to have the most volume outside of the game, maybe outside of the next one. Elon Washington is going to be my receiver number two. I think that, like I said, with Arch, there's going to be a lot of quick stuff, and Elon Washington, even more than Arch, is going to be more involved with that quick stuff. So I'll take Elon Washington here at receiver. Number two, for my flex pick, I'm going to go Isaac Jensen for Millard South. So that's going to wrap up the fantasy football team. And now that brings us right to the player interviews. We got those going, and then that's going to bring us to Class B. So that's going to be it for the fantasy team. To 12-0 Waverly taking on 11-1 Gretna East. So out of all these games, there are two games that I'm most interested in and that are going to be, I think, the highest probability of being a really close game. And this is one of them. Class B is one of those games that I think is going to be super, super competitive throughout the whole entire game. As we've seen, both of these teams have had some of these lower or one score games, not lower scoring games. As you see, we'll look at Waverly right now. Of course, last week or 2 weeks ago, you had that overtime win by 6 points against Seward, 30-24. Last week, they did a really good job taking care of Bennington, 38-18, who they had a little bit more of a struggle with earlier in the season, only beat them by 3 points. And also, we go through the schedule. Pius X, they only won 22-7 versus Norris. It was a 3 point win, 45-42, and then that was pretty much it. I mean, Seward again, like we said earlier, but Seward two times. But this is a team that has been super, super dominant and a super surprising team. And when you look at last season, um, this team was just running the ball, really, and they didn't have too much of a passing identity. This year, they are a lot more diverse, and I really like how they look offensively. We watched some film last week of them, watch more film this week. But yeah, they are a super solid team. Let's kind of look how they performed last week in the semifinal round versus a really good offense. They stopped their offense, or Bennington's offense, 2.6 yards on the ground. That's really good. And that's Gretna East's calling card is running the ball. So having a good rushing attack here defensively, stopping the run, that is a good sign. But offensively, Broxton Tepley, 9 for 14. 134 or 130 yards, 3 scores through the air. Rushing the ball, Nathan Axman had toted the ball 38 times, 212 yards, and 2 scores, 5.6 yards per carry. So they ran the ball well and they stopped the ball well. And they threw the ball also pretty efficiently, no interceptions, and also 3 scores. So this is a team that can and will beat you through the air, which is really fun to see. I've mentioned that a couple times that it's a surprising thing for me. But Bennington is, or not Bennington, Waverly is a really fun team to watch, especially this year as they love to pass the ball as well. Maybe not love, they will do the ball. They like to pass the ball. But obviously, what they do love to do is give the ball to Nathan Axman. He's their leading rusher and has been one of the leading backs in Class B, just behind Gretna East's very own Connor Sam. So let's take a look at Gretna East. Excuse me. Um, Gretna East last week won 55-34, obviously, versus Gretna. And the thing about this game is Gretna and Gretna East had a really close game earlier on in the season, and they came back and they won by even more. So let's take a look at Gretna East on the ground. Connor Sam's 8.2 yards per carry, and also their quarterback, excuse me again, had 12 carries, 184 yards, and 2 scores. 2 scores apiece for those guys, but he also threw 2 touchdowns. So offensively, this was a really, really good game. For Gretna East, it's really encouraging that they were able to do that. But I do think Waverly is a whole different type of defense than Gretna. I think Waverly has a better defense and also a better secondary. Not that this Gretna East is a passing the football first team, but they had some success here. I don't know if that'll carry on exactly how versus Waverly, but I think the running game is the biggest thing here. Bennington or Waverly has been really good against the run through the most part. Let's kind of look at some of the teams that they've played with good running backs. Last week, Bennington, of course, you have Will Guts, and also their quarterback can get on the ground as well. Versus Seward, you look and Peyton Else, he had 6.0 yards on the ground. He's a really good running back. But overall, they stopped them to 4.7 yards per carry, which is a decent number to be at. Anything close to 5 is what I deem as a really good number. But it was a little bit. They had a little bit of a struggle there. But for Norris, Norris is a really, really good rushing team. They were able to hold them down to 4.9 yards per carry. A couple guys on here uh, had some good games. So they've been fine against the run. Um, we'll look at McCook here. Last game, we'll look at comparing them. They were able to stop their number one running back. Um, Never mind, he did not play that game, but Tristan Campbell, or he did play that game, only 5 carries for 16 yards. So they did a good job against McCook's running back, who's one of the better ones in the class. So this is a team that I think that by the numbers, Gretna East should have a good chance to run the ball effectively here, especially with Connor Sams. Connor Sams is a really good player. I really like this game, man. It's going to be a fun game. We're going to see two powerhouse running backs go at it. Connor Sams, Nathan Axman, two quarterbacks that are really good, Chase Grow and Broxton Tepley. I think that the top two, the running backs, receiver or running backs and quarterback duo is going to be really fun to watch. And also, we got a standout player on Gretna East. Seth Craigle was a really good receiver, and then Gavin McMillan on Waverly is also a pretty good receiver. So I think that these teams are very evenly matched. I'm excited to see how this game goes. But let's kind of dive into Gretna East a little bit. They struggled versus the pass a little bit versus Michael Knudsen and company there. Gretna, he had 502 yards passing, 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. Through the air, Bryce Lakers had 13 catches, 162 yards, no touchdowns, so that's a good number to be at. But they did have some success rush or passing the ball. So, but you did see Gretna's they scored 21 points in the final quarter. So maybe that's a little bit finicky number, but they were able to pass the ball 500 yards. Passing is nothing to ever look at and say, oh, that's not very great. So no matter what, that's a good number. So they could struggle versus the pass. I think that Waverly could have a passing explosion for this game. I think that's certainly possible. They are able to pass the ball. They've been super efficient passing the ball throughout the season. We'll kind of look at their passing numbers. Broxton Tepley's passing numbers. He's one of the better quarterbacks here in C or Class B. And then Broxton Tepley on the year, he is 63% completion, 25 touchdowns. It's only 5 interceptions. So they've been just super, super efficient through the air, which is really fun to see. And they also have some explosives because their yards per catch is 15.3. So that is a really good number to be at. Nathan Axman, 1,736 yards on the season. That's a lot. 25 touchdowns, the same as his quarterback has passing touchdowns. So this is a really good team. This is going to be a really close game. But now we've previewed it as much as I can through just talking. Now we're going to get into the film. If you're just tuning in for Class B, how we're going to doing this, I just did the regular preview, but now we're going to go over the film for the first few drives of certain games I pick, and then we'll do a fantasy team, or no, we'll do the pick that my prediction of the game after the film, and then we'll do the fantasy team, and then finally we'll finish off with player interviews. Hopefully, we can get two for these both of these teams for those. So now we'll head to the film. So now we move on to the film. We'll start with Waverly here. I know I've did a little bit of film on this, I believe, last week for Waverly versus Pius, but that was a little bit choppy. But I skipped through the game a little bit, so we're not going over the same thing. But let's watch them versus Pius. I believe this was a 22-7 game. We're going to start here on offense for Waverly. It's 1st and 10. Just a little bit left in the first quarter, about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Obviously, what we know from Waverly, they're a run first team, but they also can pass the football. We know that about Waverly already. We're starting off here with an extra tight end. It's just a regular drop back pass. We're going to keep Nathan Axman home. Let's see how they react. It looks like a little bit of a wet night, so we'll see what happens here. He's going to launch it deep, give his guy a shot, and he catches it. I mean, that's a good pass. You like to get that guy or get that ball a little bit under the receiver there because the quarterback was a little over top of him. But that's a really nice throw by Tepley. So that's going to set up a really short field here. 1st and goal. And that's the weapons I like about this game is Waverly is able to pass the ball, I think, a little bit better than Gretna East, but Waverly has a little bit of trouble sometimes. So here we go. A little bit of trouble defending the run sometimes, but now we head over here. We got a pulling number 62. Nathan Axman on like an outside handoff. The idea here is to seal this defender here. This guy does a good job. He's got this lineman's back turned. So now this puller's job is kind of log it out and get number 7 here and pin him out to allow Nathan Axman to get to the outside. But either way, Nathan Axman is that type of running back that does like to get those one-on-one matchups with a DB or whatever it is. And that edge defender that we talked about, he does a good job kind of forcing him back inside. So they didn't get much there, maybe lost one or two. It's going to set up a little bit. So what I like to do here is Pius was an absolute underdog in this game. And what I like to do here is to see some adversity. I like to see that how Waverly deals with adversity. And that's a big thing in these games, especially with these good teams. Sometimes they struggle with adversity. And I think both of these teams are pretty decent when it comes to adversity. So we'll see what happens here. We've got a heavy kind of I formation, 2 fullbacks, Nathan Axman in the back. It looks like a quarterback sneak type of play just by his quarterback alignment here. But no, he's going to run it here. And he's got 2 blockers, those 2 fullbacks we mentioned. When they get inside the end zone here, I've watched Waverly before. They like to just give it to Axman. Sometimes they'll go into the Wildcat. Excuse me there. Sometimes they'll go into the Wildcat. So their main guy here to worry about in the end zone, maybe they'll kind of work off of it a little bit more in the state championship game, just because they've shown just Nathan Axman in the red zone for the most part. But we'll see here. Yep, like I said about the Wildcat, here we are. Nathan Axman is in the Wildcat. Tepley is the lone receiver to the left side. And they're just going to give it to him on the Wildcat. Looks like he scores. Oh, just a little bit short. But yeah, I imagine they're going to line right back up in Wildcat, maybe. Never mind, they're in a different personnel. Or no, they're going to kick it, I believe. Yeah, they're going to kick the field goal. Okay, so we'll go to watch their defense a little bit. The defense is what I'm most intrigued about. I haven't remembered too much about their defense, but we'll see for film-wise. Oh, no, they did score. They just called on the punting unit from the last one. My mistake. So, yeah, in the red zone, they're going to give the ball to Nathan Axman, and that's pretty much death in Texas. So here we go. Looks like a 3 front here with this overhang coming up close. A little bit small here up in the front, so we'll see how that size matches up with Gretna East. And that's a nice tackle by number 1. Yeah, the big thing for Waverly is I think that they have a really good secondary, is what I think their strength lies defensively. They are really good. That's what I've been most impressed about when I've watched Waverly, is their secondary. So we've got a big fullback here, 2 big guys. We've got neck collars from both of them, so that kind of tells you the tempo of this. But immediately here, we're in the same type of front, but instead the overhang's on the left, and we're showing the Mike linebacker in the A gap. And he's going to go. They block it pretty well immediately. And there goes the running back. So, I mean, you get caught in a Mike linebacker blitz. With Connor Sams, I think that might be a lot better of a gain than it was. That guy looks like he should be in the dirt as a fullback, but I think Connor Sams is a significantly better back, and he's going to diagnose this a little bit quicker, and he's going to be a little bit more of a pain to tackle in space than this guy. So that is discouraging to see, but that's just one play. Similar play. They're going to call a flag on the offense. Switch the field. Or no, that was the... Okay. Another stoppage in play. Holy. Okay, now we can watch football. All right. 1st and 15 after the flag. Similar thing here. We're showing the Mike linebacker here in the A. They're going to send him again. You've got a bunch of guys on guys. I like how, or if I was a Pius fan, I liked how they're controlling the line of scrimmage here. They were able to get an immediate push and time for the running back to separate. So I like how that looks offensively for Gretna East. I'm going to call face mask. Same type of look. We're just not showing the Mike linebacker. I think that's probably the best bet here, especially versus Gretna East. And they're going to run play action. They get a little bit of pressure and a sack. So this is a little bit of a finicky pressure. It's just a weird. I mean, they're worried about this draw play. They've been gashed a couple of times already. Maybe not gashed, but they got gashed before. So they're obviously looking out for here. And versus this quarterback, you'd like the ball to be out pretty soon, especially to this outside guy right here. You'd like to just take it, but they're looking for the deep shot here. But with a more decisive quarterback, I think Chase Grow is going to be a more decisive quarterback. I imagine that he's going to hit it right here, or just even throw the ball deep, or whatever the route concept is. This is a little bit of a weird one. You got two guys, but this is also what I mean by the secondary. They were not fooled by the play action. You've got this covered, and you've even got number one here. I mean, he's open, but number one is reacting. So it wouldn't have been too much of a gain, but you'd like this quarterback to either just throw it out or get rid of it, and he doesn't. So this is what I said. This Waverly defense is their strength lies within their secondary. They're able to cover everything up pretty well there. But Chase Grow, I think, is going to be a little bit better as a quarterback and get a little bit smarter as well. But they did take advantage, didn't miss a sack, which is nice to see. So now we're in a 3rd and 20 situation. We'll see how they react offensively to whatever we got here. They might throw a screen. They might just draw and kind of give up. I'm not sure if this is a passing football team. Doesn't really look like it from the last play, but got to look here. This linebacker, they're showing him up a little bit. Yep, and they're just going to give it to him on a draw. I mean, it's a decent gain. Not for 3rd and 20. Oh, that was not 3rd and 20. They got it wrong, but oh well. So 3rd and 15. So now we got a different one. Looks like they're going to try a little bit here. We got a 4 front, of course. Instead of 3 backers, here we got 2, and then we kick this guy out to the left. We got the running back to his left. So let's see how they run here. I'm kind of concerned about this, or not concerned, but I'm curious to see how this pass rush goes in a down and distance situation. Looks like they're kind of getting blocked up here. 55 gets some late pressure. He gets it out. Nice coverage by the secondary. He had a guy underneath and also above that receiver, forcing that quarterback to make a really tough throw, and he doesn't. So that's a nice play. Like I said, their secondary is a really good unit. So now let's watch a little bit more of this offense. Got the wing. Just everybody's down blocking, and gives it to Axford. I mean, this is what they do offensively. They're going to just run the ball consistently, kind of wear you down, and then give it to their then let their pass game kind of take over and be as efficient as it can be. Okay. No, we got a little bit of a spread out formation. 2 receivers on the right, and then you got a wing right behind this tackle. 2nd and 8. First run wasn't quite gain worthy, but here we go. We got this guy looking coming out here. Got this wing coming out. We got Axman staying with it, staying home and helping the lineman block. Nice pocket. He has plenty of time. Looks like we're going to just take a deep shot on the slot fade here to this receiver. I'm really excited to see this placement for Tepley. Throws with anticipation and gets him. That is a, ooh, never mind, incomplete. But that's a really good play. I like the anticipation. That's a really big time throw for Tepley, even though it wasn't complete. Wasn't quite a slot fade. It was more of a corner, but third and 8, third and long. Let's see how this team does. Let's see. I wonder if they use Nathan Axman in the pass game or they usually just keep him here to home to protect. That'll kind of also tell me as much confidence as they have in, or really just maybe they just want their quarterback to thrive as much as he can be. So maybe I'm reading too deep into it. Send in a motion, see what type of coverage we're in. Looks like we're in some type of man. Let's see what I'm looking at. This looks like a screen, maybe to Axman. Yeah, was it like an inside screen? But number 88 here kind of diagnoses it really well. Let's see. Yeah, 88 sees Axman here, and he diagnosed, or 68, one of the two. I can't really see that what number that is, and he kind of holds him there. That's a really nice play by him. And then Tepley just kind of has to run out and try to make a play. So that's a nice play by 88, but I think I don't know. I don't know how you can fix that. We'll watch another drive here, both sides. This time we got 5 guys up front, 3 down linemen. Weird handoff. He tries to cut it back. Yeah. I mean, this is a weird running back. He looks like a. This looks like it should be a wing T team. Which, I mean, they have 2 wings, so they're almost there. Nice play by the defense. Let's kind of watch how this got to be. So 50, the Mike linebacker, he made a good play. I've seen him in there. So let's kind of follow his steps here. So of course, we have no pullers to look at really. I mean, you have this wing and this wing coming in, but not quite pullers. So doesn't have too much to read. Excuse me. So he's just going to go downhill. They're running the ball decently well. So at this point in the game, he trusts himself to go downhill. He does. He beats that wing who's kind of folding inside, and he meets him right there. Nice play by number 50 to diagnose the play. And also, he's just kind of feeling out the game and how the game's going, and he meets him downhill. That'll bring us to 3rd and 11. We're under center in 3rd and 11. Looks like we got some type of stun up front. He's kind of telling this guy to do whatever. Nope. We're sending 50 on a blitz. It's a play action. No, nice hit by that defensive end or whoever that was. Got an overhang here. Working on that right tackle. Or no, that's a one of the wings, I think. Yeah, that's the wing. Working on the wing who's also releasing. He muddies up the wing here because that wing is supposed to be getting outside and being a really easy option for this quarterback. So he does it's a really smart play here. He's muddying up the wing, getting his hands on him to slow down that route, slow down the communication, and then he disengages and makes a really fast play and gets a quarterback hit. That's a really nice play by number 12. And now we'll watch the last drive here for Waverly. Really weird alignment. We got 3 guys over here. This is weird. All right, we're looking for a toss. We got 70 pulling out in space. We're looking for a down block here. So we'll see how their offensive line is in space. I'm looking, eyes are on 70 here. Guy comes through, he makes a play, gets him outside, cuts him up, and so that's a nice play, about 4 or 5 yards there. Not every play has to be a home run, and that's how this offense works as well. So got the same type of play, wing to the right, looking at a pass play, keeping Axman home, taking a deep shot on the sideline, one-on-one coverage here. Looks like incomplete. You like to get the ball in front of him a little bit, but you do like to take those shots sometimes, especially when you're run heavy, to make the defense play honest. 3rd and long, same formation, wing to the right, receiver one-on-one up here. Looks like a man coverage. Same play. Nathan Axman's playing home. Not quite the same play. We're sending the receiver here on an out route instead of just a direct fly. This time Axman's going to throw it. An interception. Or not Axman, but Tepley. I think that's Tepley. It was an interception, kind of looking on that corner route. Let's see. I mean, yeah, this is a tough play. You have the linebacker right here. You have to get it into this area. You got this guy running an out to kind of contest this corner. So you'd like to see it in this area. Kind of lead him to it. A little bit high. Does he get pressure on him? He does get a little bit of pressure at the end, so that probably messed up the throw a little bit. But you'd like to see it get him out a little bit. But overall, of course, this hasn't looked fantastic offensively, but we do know what Waverly is capable of. I've watched plenty of their offense. We'll go through a couple more plays here later, and then he's just going to get it on out route, incomplete. Boom, he gets hit hard at the end. But yeah, we've seen this team. I think this was just one of those games that they didn't quite play how they usually do. We've seen Waverly play great, but this, we do know what they are. They're a team that's going to want to run the ball and pass the ball in spurts just to maintain the honesty of the defense, but they're also able to pass the ball decently well. All right, so let's watch some Gretna East for the very first time. Not for the very first time, for the second time. Watched them last week versus Gretna. All right, we got Colton Nicholson's head in the way, so can't really tell what's going on here. Just a sprint out. Immediately, what came off the tape was the quarterback zip on that throw. He gets the ball out, so I like that. I like how he zips that there. Gets the ball out on time and fast. I mean, it looks like this front is going to be bigger than the Waverly front, so that's something to note. Got a wing, kind of like a similar setup to what Waverly runs offensively. Got 2 polars here, so heavy, heavy, heavy. Meets him there. Number 73 muddies up that play. 73 is a big dude. All right. Similar type of formation. He's just kind of off a little bit to the left. I'm going to give it to him. Plows forward. Not much there. Maybe he got it. It's close. Get a zone read, it looks like. We do. We're reading this end here that we left. Looks like an RPO maybe. Oh no, just a regular zone read. Sorry about that. He's going to keep it himself because this guy's collapsing on the running back. Makes a nice play with using his speed. Here goes Grow, trying to cut to the outside. Nice rally. I mean, you like to see that. Scott's secondary is playing good right now for the first few plays, and we do know that Waverly's secondary is good as well. So they will be able to stop those zone reads as well. Similar formation. Getting the ball out quick on the out route here. This guy takes that safety, so we got a little bit of room here as well. Just got to make one guy miss. He doesn't. That's a nice open field tackle by 14. All right, so now we're at a 3rd and long. We've seen just some little plays. We've seen 2 rushes up the middle, and we've also seen that quick out. Poor Connor Sams. He's got a solely on. Sorry about that, bro. If you're watching, that would suck. All right, we got the wing here, kind of moving as a puller. Hopefully this guy gets blocked well. They're going to give it to him on 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 5. Doesn't really get much, 2. And they're going to punt. So let's watch their defense. Defensively, looks like we're a 3 front with the 2 overhangs just up on this play because of this heavy formation with 2 tight ends on each side, or 1 tight end on each side. And then we got 2 backers. Yeah, we do know that. I do know that Omaha Skutt's like a drop back passing offense, which is not really what Waverly is. Waverly works through the shotgun, whether it's passing or running. So it's a little bit different look. See how the linebackers react. Let's see. Immediately, I think the pressure, nice bull rush here. The pressure gets through. Looking at it right now, I think Waverly definitely has the offensive line advantage when it comes to Skutt. Like if you lined up their offense versus Skutt, I think that is definitely the advantage there. Second and 10. Similar formation. These guys are just bunched up here. I'm going to call false start. We're bunched up. Now we're splitting out. Okay. That kind of muddies up what the offensive line is going to do. So that's kind of a good thing there. Could miss a guy or have too many guys on one. Just a simple 2-step drop. Just let it fly. And he gets it. That's a nice grab. So we have seen from the last time, Waverly does like to just operate on that 2-step drop. Just let it fly on the sideline. We see that there. It's successful. So they'll have to be aware for that. I think Gavin McMillan is a little bit taller than that guy as well. Or no, that was incomplete. So then we'll have to be ready for that because Waverly also does. It's a little bit different because they do it out of the shotgun. So got a puller here. 3rd and 15. Looks like they're just going to run it. Or no. Flag. Oh my. This is a messy game for Skutt. Just got a big old play action bootleg. Incomplete. Working on that comeback route. Doesn't quite get connection. So now we're going to watch the second drive for Gretna East here. Got a wing in a motion, or maybe who's in the slot. I can't remember. And we're going to give it to Sams. Not much there. I mean, instantly you see right there, that was kind of somewhat a scenario where the running back has to cut back. And when we watched that Pius game, that running back did have plenty of room to cut back. We've seen on a couple of those runs, but he wasn't necessarily as quick and change of direction as Connor Sam's. We see right there that he made a bit more out of that run by using his change of direction. All right, we got a wing to the right. Takes a snap. Just kind of a delayed draw, just to kind of make those linebackers freeze, which I think that Waverly's linebackers play a little more aggressive. So we'll see if that works. They'll definitely need to have some more success in the passing game to run that type of draw, like a delayed draw, just to threaten these linebackers a little bit more. All right, we got a traditional pass. We got looks like two guys. It's kind of a weird concept, but here we go. We got Sam staying home. Got a guy running a comeback here, fires on the slant. Nice play. I really like how the ball comes out of Chase Grove's hands. Also, number 77, if you are watching this, don't you ever wear those white sleeves again. Wear black sleeves. White sleeves not it, man. Just playing around. Just playing around, guys. Okay, here we go. 1st and 10. Gonna give it to Sam's. Nothing crazy. Just on a regular draw, gains about 4. Two similar type of game plans here as far as Waverly versus Gretna East. They're going to just run it and pass it in spurts. Gets the ball out on a screen play. Not much there. Hard count by Gretna East on 3rd and 3. Quickly goes under center, takes a snap. It's a toss play to that guy. And that's a nice trick play, and he breaks it free. Chase Grow gets a really long touchdown. I really like that play from a scheme perspective. So let's kind of diagnose it here. Maybe we'll get a better. So we got this wing here. So obviously, what the defense is looking for here is a quarterback sneak. I'm not sure why I mean, this would work better on a shorter yardage type of play, but obviously it worked here. But they're taking the wing here. They're going to think that this is going to be a quarterback sneak just because we're taking the wing. Instead, it's a toss play to the quarterback. We're taking Sam's here, and he's going to be a main lead blocker. Sam's makes a crucial block here. He makes a nice tackle evasion, and he takes it all the way. All right, so that's going to bring us to the picks. This is a really interesting game. I think this is going to be a close game. But I think that Gretna East is going to have some success here offensively. What I've seen so far through these few games, I think that Gretna East has the big playability, and I think that Waverly can be susceptible through the run sometimes. I think that they're not going to have too much success passing the ball, but that'll bring me to my pick of this game. Waverly obviously has a lot of success in this game or this season. Excuse me. But it's really tough here. I think this is going to be a tight game. It's going to be a one-score game. So whoever I pick, guys, I don't want any retweets laughing at me because I picked one guy to win. This is going to be a really close game. I understand the retweets if I say that it's going to be an upset, kind of like Sidney. That deserves a little bit of retweeting. But as far as this game, it's going to be close. But Waverly has done it. Waverly has been in these close games. They've won the close games. So has Gretna East. These are really similar teams as far as what they're going to run, what they want to do. But I'm going to go with Gretna East. I think they are going to win their first state championship as a school in their 4th year of being a school. So that's going to bring us to the fantasy football team. So now we will move on to the fantasy football teams. So how this is work, if you're a first-time watcher and you're just skipping to this segment, we're going to pick a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex, and this is going to be formatted as PPR. What this kind of does is kind of give you kind of insight on how individual players are going to perform and how I feel like they perform and kind of how they feel against the matchup. So starting at quarterback, I think this is a good pick here. Broxton Tepley is going to be my quarterback from Waverly. I think that he gets a lot of rushing as well in this, and he's also a really good passer when he's clicking. For my running back number one, I'm going to go with Connor Sams. My running back number two, Nathan Axman. Those two are the big running backs in this game, and that's who you really want and the number one running backs, and that's who these offenses are powered by, Connor Sams and Nathan Axman. This is pretty much their games. For wide receivers, I'm going to go with Seth Cragel. He's had a good season thus far, one of the leading receivers in Class B. And then my wide receiver number two, Gavin McMillan from Waverly. And then my flex. This is a little bit of a tougher pick. All those four are pretty uh, regular, pretty normal. So for this pick, um, I'm gonna go look, because I don't know exactly on who I should pick here. So we're gonna do some research before I go it. So this one, and also stay tuned, guys, because the next segment here for Class B is the player interviews. Hopefully, we're going to talk to both teams. We should. I think we're going to talk to Broxton Tepley, the quarterback for Waverly, and also Connor Sams for Gretna East. So for this one, for this next pick, we can pick a running back or receiver. I'm going to go with Brady Schaefer from Waverly, the tight end. So that's going to conclude the fantasy team. Now we move on to the player interviews. And now we move on to our Gretna East player preview. I'll let him introduce himself. What's going on?
Not much. I'm Connor Sams. I'm a running back for Gretna East.
A big game for you and your team. What is the mindset for you guys heading up to the state championship game?
Well, obviously, Waverly's a great team, and I truly think that this is our hardest game we're going to have to play that we are playing this year. But to be able to win a game, you got to be confident and be able to trust your teammates throughout the entire game.
All right, a big story for you guys is that Gretna East is a really new school. And just your guys' fourth year as a school for the football team, you guys are sitting in the state championship. How has the community, fans, and parents been doing this brand new experience for you guys?
I mean, even throughout our first year, we were 3-6 our first year, and now we're 11-1. And our support system from our just every single person, our fans, our parents, the community has been amazing throughout our entire time.
Okay. What different challenges does Waverly bring to the table, and how are you guys going to prepare differently for a team like them without going into any crazy gameplay specifics?
Waverly, they're fast. They get to the ball and they're disciplined. And without getting into any specifics, it's just we got to be better than them in every aspect of the game. I mean, like I said, they're a very good team, and just we have to be disciplined ourselves and know what they don't have many weaknesses, but the things that we can build off on, we got to execute at that.
All right, and then the last question about Waverly here. If you had to say something positive about Waverly, what would it be?
They're an amazing team, and they have really shown themselves this year. And I mean, just they're fast, they get to the ball, they're coached really well, and I'm really excited to see this competition.
All right, and then the final question, what has been your favorite experience this year heading up to this game?
I would say my favorite experience is all the wins. I mean, and especially beating our rivals. Beating Seward, we've lost to them 3 times in the past 2 years before this, and we finally got our first win against them. Same thing with Gretna, our crosstown rival. We beat them twice this year, and it's just those have been my favorite experiences. Is just winning.
All right, well, that's going to conclude the player preview. Appreciate you for coming on, and also good luck on, was it Monday? You guys play
Yes, sir.
Monday? All right.
Monday at 7:15.
All right. Appreciate you for coming on.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All right, everyone, we are going to move on to Class C1 here. Sidney and Wahoo. So we'll start off here, kind of what we thought about last week. I'll let you start on this. And what are the thoughts and opinions coming on ahead of this state championship game about these teams and how they performed last week?
Yeah, so I really wasn't too surprised by either of the results of the semifinal game. Was kind of hoping Ashland would put up a fight against Wahoo, but ultimately they weren't able to do it. It was actually a really close game with there were 4 minutes left in the first half, and then Kaminsky made this amazing play. He broke like in the backfield and threw it 40 yards down the field for a touchdown. And then they scored again with like 40 seconds left in the half. So then after that, it was really over, going up in halftime, up 35-14. And then the Lakeview Sidney game was really fun to watch. I actually went to that game, and Sidney recovered the opening kickoff. Lakeview fumbled it. So that was, and then Sidney went on and scored that. But then second quarter was all Lakeview. So they went up 17-7 at half. Sidney came back, answered, and then they really just asserted their dominance in the second half, just ran the football the whole time and really just put away Lakeview. Their defense had to make a big stand at the end, and they did. They just did what it took to win the football game. So really impressed by Sidney in that game. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, you covered it pretty well. I really like to see that Sydney was able to deal with some adversity in that game, especially against a really good team like Lakeview. That was probably my biggest takeaway as far as positives for them. And Wahoo, really, it's every week is a positive takeaway for them, so I can't really take away too much. I mean, they're really, like you said, that one play was really nice, and Jace Kaminsky was super efficient through the air versus Ashland. And also, of course, Kip Brigham 253 yards and four scores through the ground, and then through the air, he had to score 61 yards. So, I mean, he's their guy, of course. We'll talk about that a little bit later here, but we'll go ahead and we'll like talk about this matchup. So we'll start off here. We'll go. Um, we'll save the biggest matchup, which I think is the Wahoo offense versus the Sydney defense for the last one. So we'll start off here with the Sydney offense versus the Wahoo defense. Um, Offensively, Sydney is a really they're a run heavy team, but they'll pass it sometimes. They threw a pig last week. I just got done watching film as well, so I talked about that in some of the film. Um, Sydney, they had a little bit of trouble to start the game, but excuse me, but they were able to finish the game pretty well. What did you see from last week from Sydney and their offense?
Yeah, I mean the first half they were kind of stuck in neutral, couldn't really get anything going, but they kind of started to figure out in the second half, and they just started getting chunks, which was the biggest difference. Like they kind of were beating their heads into the wall in the first half, couldn't really get any movement after that first drive. There was just nothing going on after from the end of the first drive to the end of the second half. There was or end of the first half, there was nothing. But credit to Sydney's head coach, they went into the locker room, made some adjustments, and then they started to move the football a lot better on the ground and just getting little gashes here and there. And then by the time the fourth quarter came around, they kind of just I don't know if Lakeview was getting tired, but the later the game went on, the better Sidney was able to run the football. Where on the last drive, Lakeview just couldn't stop him, and Dorsey was just breaking through gaps, or Doty was breaking through gaps from the read option. And I thought overall Alec Doty played really well in this game. He had the one pick, which was a negative and wasn't necessarily that efficient on the ground, but he got it done on the ground and he made plays when they needed to be made. He hit some really nice throws to receiver. They had I can't remember, I think it was a 2 point conversion where Doty had to scramble way out of the pocket and then made a great throw on the run to find a receiver in the end zone. So he had some really nice plays through the air that kind of kept drives alive. So he just did what they needed him to do there. And as I said, just running the ball better and better as the game went on. And then they also looked for Keen Kaiser a lot in that game. And he's definitely their go to guy, I'd say, receiving.
Yeah, I mentioned in the film these two teams are uh, when you look at the matchups on offense versus defense, they're both kind of they run a similar type of offense. How they get there is different, but they run a option type of offense that's going to be where you need all 11 guys to do their jobs. And throughout the course of the game, that gets harder and harder when you're doing this repetition. So that's kind of how they run it. But as far as that goes for Sydney's offense, I don't think that that is going to be the most ideal way to win this game because I think the most ideal way for them to win this game offensively and put up points is to rely on the players, like we see it earlier in that Sydney and Lakeview game. Doty, they're having a little bit of trouble throughout the game, but Doty finds Keane Kaiser on just like a jump ball, and that's what you really want. You want those guys to be in a position to where it's a player on player matchup more than a scheme matchup or a coaching and guys doing their job. So that's what I think the path to victory here for Sydney's offense to have success is to allow their players to really take control. I think Doty and Keane Kaiser are going to be the main guys here. Rice Dorsey is also pretty good, but I think that Keane Kaiser and Alec Doty are going to be the main weapons that they really, really need to rely on. But for Wahoo defensively, I watched the Mount Michael game, and Mount Michael was actually able to run the ball pretty well early in that game, and they were making some plays through the run game. And I think that Sidney is definitely as good, probably better offensively rushing the ball than Mount Michael. So I think that they could have some of that success offensively. And they also run a similar type of offense as Mount Michael as well. So with those zone reads and quarterback runs, whatever you want to call those. So that's kind of what I take away from here. Do you have any other thoughts on this Sydney's offense versus Wahoo's defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a little bit different of a passing attack than what they just saw against Ashland Greenwood, where Ashland Greenwood has just fantastic receivers. Sydney is very heavy throwing to their tight ends.
Yep.
And so that's just a little bit different animal for Wahoo to be facing. And they actually showed a little vulnerability to the pass, did Wahoo, with allowing Cal Kissinger to make some great plays. He had 8 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown in that game last week. So it goes to show if you have a good enough player, there maybe are some players at least that you can attack in that secondary if you have a quarterback that can make good decisions. Obviously, I think Tonjes is a better passing quarterback than Alec Doty is, but I think if you get the matchups that you want and you can find ways to get these tight ends into favorable matchups, it's going to be really beneficial for them.
Yeah, and like you said, they like to use the tight ends, and they use Keane Kaiser in a few different ways. They're going to have him in the slot. They're going to have him as an outside receiver. They're going to have him as a wing, pull blocking in the run game. So I really like how they use him, and that he's going to probably be their main weapon in this game. And also, you're going to want to sprinkle in some of the other guys too. But I think Keane Kaiser is the biggest key here. You've kind of raved about him, and now that I've actually watched the film a little bit more, I kind of appreciate him a little more because he's a really good player. Um, so we'll kind of move on to the Wahoo offense versus the Sydney defense because from the outside, this is the matchup in this game. Sydney's defense has been really good all year. Last week, holding the Vikings Lakeview to 24 points. Um, since you were there, I'll let you start on this one. What did you see from the Sydney defense versus Lakeview, who has a little bit of a dynamic and kind of spread offense? They can really run anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with the way that they were able to contain Deanda on the ground. Watching that game, I didn't quite realize. I don't think how good Brandon Deanda was on the ground. He's is a really good player, and he was breaking tackles the whole game. But they did a really good job with keeping him in check. Lakeview, as a team, rushed for just 3.7 yards per carry, which is well below their season average. They did show some vulnerability to the pass. Blake Rathbone went off in that game. He had 8 catches for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Nash Hank had a long touchdown as well. So they kind of, Sydney's defense allowed some big plays in the passing game, and they're not going to be able to do that this week against Lakeview because we focus so much on Brigham in the run game for Wahoo, but they can really throw the ball too if they need to. Where Eli Shade has had just an amazing postseason In all three of those games, he's had some big plays and big moments where you just start loading the box to try to stop Brigham, and then they take the top off with that. And then Kaminsky always puts that ball in the money. So they're going to have to clean up that in the secondary. They can't allow those plays. I think Lakeview does have more dynamic athletes at receiver than Wahoo does. That is one area where it's just a little different. But I was really impressed with how they played on the ground. But Kip Brigham's just a little bit next level, as good as Brigham is.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to bring up to my point of this game. I think the point of this game for me is it's going to have to be an offensive game. I think this is a really, really bad matchup for Sidney. As much as I like their defense, they kind of play into how Wahoo plays. So I watched the game versus Lakeview. Um, they had some guys kind of jumping off sides a lot, kind of flinching at the line. And whenever you do that, the Lakeview team would just snap the ball. They're out of position. And also, there were some times where the linebackers or whoever were kind of cheating inside and allowing and not really making that play. I think that Wahoo is absolutely going to take advantage of that. And I think that they're going to have to clean that up a little bit. And throughout practice this week, they're going to have to stress do not cut inside and do your job, fill your gap. And that's kind of how this Wahoo team has had so much success throughout the years. And even when you do your job, Kip Brigham is extremely patient runner, and he's going to find a hole a lot of the time. So I think Kip Brigham, obviously, he's the key to this game. He's the key to every game against Wahoo. You're going to want to stop him, but I think that's going to be a really, really tough ask, especially if the kind of these defenders on Sidney's side are shooting gaps or cutting inside when they're not supposed to and trying to make a play because Kip Brigham is absolutely going to make you pay. And I think Brandon DeAnda, like you said, is a good running back, but I think that you also said that Kip Brigham is a next level guy. He's going to make you pay a lot more for those type of plays. Do you have anything else here on this specific matchup? And I'll see if I have anything else.
Yeah, I think Wahoo ran the counter really well last week against Ashton Greenwood. They had some really big plays off of that where they'd kind of move Brigham over to a side and then get some pullers out in front. Just a little bit different kind of scheme than Lakeview ran against them. So they're going to have to be really disciplined against that, and then they'll mix in some reverses to those wings as well. So those are big plays for them. And then I've just been really impressed by the way Kaminsky's played in the tournament. He's just been unflappable. I don't think he's thrown a pick the entire tournament. He has some like two all year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's thrown two interceptions all year, completes over 70% of his passes, and if even if they're able to stop Brigham in this game, that's a whole other can of worms that they haven't had to open up all year, but they're fully capable of throwing the football, and it's extremely evident if you watch their games. Although they only threw the ball 8 times, they completed 75% of those passes, and then that, as I mentioned, that huge play with Kaminsky scrambling in the pocket and then finding Shada down the field. They can do that all day long. So even if they're able to stop Brigham, they're going to have to worry about that pass game that's been so successful.
Yeah, I think really what it comes down to, if Sidney wants a chance to get off the field a couple of times, Wahoo's going to put up points, and I think that's you kind of have to accept that. But you want either to get off the field a few times, force a punt, or you want a turnover or two, or even on special teams, like you mentioned, they fumbled the opening kickoff, and they got that back for them. You're going to want some type of stop. That's really because like you said, they got the polars and stuff. You need to be really disciplined because sometimes they don't run behind the polars. Sometimes they take it and go the other way. But
And Wahoo will fumble the ball sometimes too. They've done
yeah,
that. If that's one weakness for Brigham, it would probably be ball security, I would say.
yeah. I actually watched that in film and mentioned it. He fumbled against Mount Michael on the second play of the game. Um, but we'll see how that goes. Sydney needs to take advantage of those. We've seen them take advantage of those like turnovers and short fields as well. So maybe if they can get that going, overall, I think this is going to have to be a really, really offensive game. I don't think that this is going to be a defensive game. I think that both of these teams have shown some weakness, and both of these teams have the offense to exploit those type of weaknesses defensively. So we'll move on here to the picks. I'll let you go first. Who do you have in this game? And since we're at the state championship game, we can kind of give some score predictions too, kind of like a ballpark. So who do you have in this game, and what's the score, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a soft spot for Sydney. I think they're just a really good team, and you could see how much they wanted it when at the end of that Lakeview game, all their players were just so emotional. And having been to the semifinals so many times, I think it's really cool they get to play in this championship game. But Wahoo is really, really good, and they would be very competitive in Class B as well. I think
Oh yeah.
there's a good chance they'd be in the championship against Waverly this week as well if they're up in B. Uh, and I don't think Sidney can hang with them. I think they're way too good on offense. And even if they're able to score some points, nobody's been able to stop Wahoo's offense all year. And I don't think it's going to be any different in this game. I think Wahoo wins this game by maybe 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that it's going to be really tough for Sydney. But again, they have that chip on their shoulder. Maybe things can go horrifically wrong and they turn over the ball a few times. But I don't foresee that happening. They're super well coached, they're super well disciplined. I'm going to go with Wahoo here. And I'll give you a score here. Wahoo has not scored below 35 this season. So I'm going to say they're going to win 42, and Sydney is going to put up 28. So that's going to bring us to the fantasy football segment here. Um, Last week, we'll go over last week. Big game, of course, from Kip Brigham. He's the leading scorer from last week out of the teams. He had 58.4 points. He was on Luke's team. Luke won this week. He won 131.82 to my 104.28. So it was a little rough outing for me. I had a couple guys that scored under 3 points and one that scored point 0.8 points. Um, so uh, we'll go ahead and we'll get into this one. This one is a little more, this week is a little more tough because we only got two teams to pick from. But since I lost, I do get the first pick. And I think the obvious pick here is Kip Brigham. So I'm going to go with Kip Brigham for my pick one. I think he's been pick one for every single draft thus far.
Yeah, and getting the first pick in this draft pretty much secures the win in this one. Brigham's got uh I I'm gonna take Reese Dorsey with my first pick. Get some value at running back there. Um, and then let's see. I'm gonna take Jace Kaminsky.
All right, that kind of sets it up because I really wanted to pick Keaton Kaiser this week. I think that he is going to have to be their main guy here this week. And then also for my quarterback, I'll save that for later. So I'll have to pick a receiver. I'm not too familiar with the receivers here in this game, so I'm gonna do a little bit of research as we speak. Last week, let's see who did decent last week for Wahoo in the receiving game. Last week, Landon Fye, he was their leading guy in catches outside of Kip Brigham, who's a running back, and Eli Shada as well. He had a 50-yard catch, but he's a tight end. So, as we seen last week, Wahoo was they were up a little bit big, and they started throwing or last year in the state finals, they started getting the ball around to different players. You've seen, I think Fox or something who hadn't played too much all year had a touchdown. So I'll go with um, Eli Shada here for my flex.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I was hoping Shada would fall to me. He's had a great tournament. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get picked last week. Actually, at 80 yards against Mount Michael. So looking around here, I'm gonna take Landon Fye from Wahoo. I think he's kind of been their secondary guy behind Shada for the tournament so far. So I think he'll get me some catches. And then So I have a running back, a receiver, and a quarterback. Kind of go any direction here. I'm not totally sure what position Kyle Jaggers plays for Sidney, but he is third on their team in rushing. So I'm going to take him and maybe call him a running back.
Right. So for me, just kind of looking at the receivers in this game because that's all I have left. I'll go with Caden Kristen for Wahoo. He is their second leading receiver, or no, third for them. And then um, this is where it gets really tough here. I'll go with Fox. They got Fox a big touchdown last year in the state championship game, coach's son. So I'll go Fox here. Maybe he'll get one of those again this year.
That leaves you guys. I'm going to take Lance Holly from Sidney. I think he has really good speed. I think he's a state medalist in the 100-meter dash. So maybe they can take the top off, get a long touchdown to him, while he doesn't have very many catches in the tournament. And then to round out my team, I'm going to take Kale Kaiser. He had a couple catches last week for some yards.
And then a pick to finalize it, I'll be taking Alex Doty, the quarterback. Um, so that's gonna finish out the teams here and also finish out the preview. I appreciate you for coming on. Guys, stay tuned for, of course, the film after this, and also we got a player interviews as well. So appreciate you guys for coming on. Also appreciate Luke for coming on again this season, and it's been a fun season as well. And just to log it off for the last time, where can we find you on your work and whatever else it is?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at McCarg_Luke, and then you can find my broadcasting work at the Pastime Sports Network. Appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Okay, so now we're gonna hop into the film. We got Sidney and Wahoo to watch here. We're gonna pick Mount Michael versus Wahoo. I would like to watch the Ashland game, but I couldn't find it. But I did find the Columbus, Lakeview, and Sidney game, so that should be a really, really good watch, especially for Sidney. I think I'm gonna be able to gather a lot from there. I already know a bit about Wahoo, but we're gonna start with Wahoo here. Um, Obviously this team is just they're super well coached. We all know that. Offensively, like I said last week, they're just really, really well coached. All the players are most of the time in the right spots, most plays. So it's a really fun thing to watch as well. But they also have the players to match. So we're going to be watching this Mount Michael game. I didn't really get a chance to watch this Mount Michael game, I don't think. But as of last week, Kid Brigham had a pretty big game, so he usually does. So we'll be watching him offensively. To be honest, that's what's going to be happening. We just mostly what we're doing here is trying to find some sort of pathway for Sidney to be able to win this game. And I think everyone knows that comes with stopping Kid Brigham. That's where you want to hold this offense to. Not a really easy task at all. Probably the hardest task in Class A1 football right now, it seems like. So we'll go ahead and see how they're exactly running these plays. We'll see how Kit Brigham is running as well, and also their quarterback, Jace Kaminsky, and see how he's throwing the football because I think he did have a pretty good passing game this week. So we'll see what happens here. So immediately, we're really, really heavy at the line. We've got the traditional five linemen accompanied with a tight end over here, or just kind of like a jumbo lineman. And then these two are very tight aligned. So it's just really heavy alignment. Got to have some guys in the box to account for this super heavy alignment. And I mean, we'll see this so often. Excuse me. They're gonna motion these wings, whatever you want to call them, just to get the defense to some sort of player in out of position. That's what the deal is with these. You want one guy out of position because this back right here is going to make you pay every single time you have one guy out of position. You don't have a linebacker filling the correct gap. He is gone. So we'll start off here. They put it in motion, these two already. So now we have number 2 here in a motion. You got a puller here on that. I think that is the right tackle. So he's going to pull. Kip Brigham has really good vision. He's going to hit the open hole. And then that lineman, or number 31, makes a good block, and that's a really good gain on first down, first play of the game. I mean, it's plays like those. You're going to get about 10, 12 yards, and then it's just going to really start to wear down on you. And then that's where Kip Brigham breaks his 70-yarder, 60-yarder. So on this play, we have a different type of alignment. We still have pretty heavy out front. We do have a tight end and a wing, but with this time we have the receivers, or we have 2 receivers to the left, pretty far out, and then we have a lone one to that, and we see this corner is playing pretty far off. So we'll see what they do here. Empty set as well. Kip Brigham is not back there with him. He's going to motion him back there with him to his left, and they're going to give it to him. Just a new look to see. You like to move your guys around. That's what I like to see offensively, is when they're moving their guys around, being offensive. And then there you go. Oh, it looks like a fumble. Brigham does fumble. Trying to push the pile, and he fumbles, but so I mean, this is again one of those things where I like to see how the better team deals with adversity. And there we go. You got adversity on the second play of the game. You get a fumble. So defensively is where they're a little different. They aren't going to show you as much defensively as they do offense, but they are going to show you some things. They're forefront here. You can't really see the linebackers, but we got overhang here. Got double pullers. They're going to give it. It's a decent run. I mean, this is a well coached team. So you're going to see all 11 rally to the football every single snap. And that's what, throughout the past few years, that's what their defense has thrived on. They're all going to pursue the ball, no matter where it is. So that's a really good thing. So even if one guy doesn't do his job, you still have 10 other guys running to the ball. So that's kind of the philosophy there. Again, with the forefront, pretty heavy. You got a 4-3. Got a kind of a sweep towards the outside of the tackles. They're there. You see their quarterback number 1 is making plays on defense as well. And he's been healthy all year, so he will be playing defense in the state championship game too. Skip through here. Again, another heavy. They're going to give it to him. He had some room. Mount Michael won the line of scrimmage there, but the linebackers were able to clean up. And that's part of doing your job. They didn't necessarily dominate the line of scrimmage, but they did win it. So the defensive lineman didn't have a shot to take down that running back for a negative gain. So at least he's going to get back to the line of scrimmage. So that leaves the linebackers wide open to make a play. I mean, when you watch Wahoo football, it's all super, super fundamental. That's what it is. Their defensive guy up front is Shada here, number 5. And they also have Kruger, who's a really good linebacker. And we're looking at another toss. You see everybody here. They have their hands out. They're extended. They are all ready to make a play, shed the block. You see Shada right here. He's extended. He has full control. He's got his hands in the chest of his defender. This guy does too. And you can also see he's kind of leaning to that side a little bit. And you also have this linebacker here ready for whatever. And they're all ready for it. As like we said, they all make a really nice play with their hands. That's the thing with this Wahoo team. For the past few years, the coaches always rave about how these teams are using, or how these Wahoo teams are using their hands defensively. They're always going to extend on you and play unselfish football. They're all Excuse me, I don't know why that did that, but they're all ready. But he does cut it back. That's kind of what it is there. You want to stay in your lane. I kind of just raving about how they're doing their job, and then they get a big run here. So let's see what happened. I mean, obviously everyone's doing their job here. I think it was Shada trying to over chase here. Doesn't quite hold his gap on the backside and allows for the cutback. But he's still a good defender that does make those plays to make up for that. And you don't see mistakes like that too often with this Wahoo team. And Reese Dorsey from Lakeview or from Sidney can make some of those cutback type of plays too. And they're going to go with a fullback dive. They're ready for it, just didn't make the tackle. And he gets a few yards. Second and 6. Again, super, super heavy up front. Multiple tight ends. We got a pulling left tackle. We got a down block here. Nice how they blocked it. This guy is here, but he just has to pop it outside, and he should have room, and he does. It's a nice run. Mount Michael is absolutely chugging down the field right now, taking advantage of the fumble. And here's one of the things that they do differently, like I talked about on defense, somewhat. They do shift before the snap, defensively sometimes, just to kind of get these linemen. And all about Wahoo's doing is they're trying to get the guys out of place. You got double pullers, kind of like a counter draw. He takes it upfield. That's a nice play. Number 10 letting him know. All right, we're at a 4th and 2. Let's see how Wahoo responds to a 4th and 2. Again, we're seeing the same type of formation here. Really heavy up front, just a normal draw. Got a double team working here. This guy's already cross-faced. That's a really nice thing to see. And he makes a really good play. That is a fantastic play by number 60. I can't tell you his name off the top of my head, but that is a really good play. We'll rewind that, give him some little more props. 60 is right here. Immediately, he watches film. That's what I seen right there. He shoots the gap. Or maybe that was the play call, shooting the gap to the right side. He shoots the gap, crosses face, meets the running back right in the hole, and stops him, I believe, on that 4th down. That's a really nice play by number 60. Slants in the gap, makes a play. Watch this offensive drive for Wahoo, and then we'll switch over to Sidney. Got kind of a weird play action spin move out of the pocket here. Get Brigham. I mean, the play action is huge for this team. Because they're so good at running the ball. Play action is going to get them every time, and it does. You got these linebackers coming. This one, not so much, but this Mike linebacker does come up. So then we got a rollout. We got this guy protecting, sealing here. Kaminsky's going to roll out. Can't see what's happening there. He's just going to get it down to his open check down. Not a check down, but just an out route. Makes it pretty easy read there. And also, this is another thing with the Wahoo offense. They will pull and then run the opposite way. And that's what we see here. You got this guy pulling, and you also have this guy pulling, but they're going to run it this way and use Kip Brigham here actually as a lead blocker, kind of like a trick play, really creative run play. I like to see these plays, and they're going to give it to number 10. Doesn't quite work. Kind of wondering what happens here. 52 makes the play. So 52 is working here. He just kind of a little bit of a miscommunication, kind of working on a double team for this right tackle. So not quite a dominant play. Just a little bit of a miscommunication kind of left him there. So I mean, it really makes it tough for the linebackers when you're pulling and you're running the opposite way. So that's how this Wahoo offense has so much success. And then you also got this wing coming into motion. They're going to run this ball so many times, doing that, using that wing as a, and you got good patience here as well. That is a really nice play by Brigham. So let's kind of diagnose this a little bit more. This guy is blocking in a motion. This guy's a little late to react. So that's kind of what this does as well. When you have that guy motioning, kind of freezes up some guys. And then you got Kip Brigham giving his best Le'Veon Bell impression. Cutting it to the outside, looking. Jump cut. I mean, that change of direction is incredible. That is a really high level play by Brigham. Makes the guy miss, and then he breaks it all the way. That was all Kip Brigham there. Not necessarily too much on scheme, but that is a fantastic Kip Brigham play. That was very impressive. Really high level vision. All right, we'll watch the first couple plays here defensively for Wahoo, and then we'll move on to Sidney. All right, we got a pass play here. He's just going to drop it back. He's got this guy staying home. Got a little wing route, or not wing route, just a bucket outside. Oh, no, it's a screen. So there he goes. There's their number one guy for Mount Michael. He gains a nice yardage there. And Sidney has these players to run these type of plays with that Mount Michael is having success. And then we got a polar. It's kind of like a RPO read option here. Looking for number 27. 26 does a really good job IDing that. Incomplete, or 28 does, but he kind of got behind him. But he's seen it as well. Got double polars. 27 stealing on the backside. Number 10 is here already to muddy this up. He falls, though. And he's going to take it upstairs. And that's a nice gain. I mean, Mount Michael's running the ball well here. I like how they're playing offensively. All right, they're going to drop back and pass it again. Shade is there for the sack. And that's one of the guys that you want to keep tabs on. You want to keep a running back home because he's their number one guy pass rushing. I think he's right here. He is. Or no. Where was he at? I want to see his path here. Okay, he's on the interior. So he's right here. Working on that right guard. Anthony Bradford impression by that guard. Just that kind of didn't see him. All right, so now we'll move on to Sidney. We already know Wahoo's a good football team. We saw a little bit of weakness there, but here we go. We're gonna watch some Sidney. Haven't watched too much Sidney, so this will be relatively new. We got this in my face. Okay, we're not gonna break down that play. All right, first play. I'd like to see what formation we're in. Okay, so as again, Sidney, pretty heavy. 5 linemen, tight end on each side. Kind of like a delayed draw. They're going to give it to Dorsey. Dorsey makes a nice run for a few yards on second down after a loss on first. Lakeview is a really good defense, so any offensive success here is a really good thing. A little bit different here. We got Trips on the right side. Kaiser in the middle. He's kind of like their tight end, but he's playing an outside receiver right now. Just kind of down blocking another draw. And they did a good job right there with that draw play, getting the first down, I believe. Nothing flashy. Just kind of no pulls yet. They're all just kind of zone blocking right now. There we go. There's a pull. Number 70 is going to pull kind of onto a double team. You'd like to see him come up to the linebacker instead of the double team. But linebacker makes a nice play there and stuffs that. All right, we got another pull. Looks like a wing and a guard. They're going to take it. Doty is going to just take it right behind him. He's a fast runner. Doty is their guy running the ball as well as Dorsey. So you got to be prepared for Doty to run as well. Kind of muddied up, tries to get it to the outside. Not too much there. Got a play action, kind of sprinting out. That's what they're probably going to do a little bit. Pump fakes it, and then he gets sacked. That's a really nice play by 11. So let's kind of see what happens here. They kind of just leave him unblocked, really. I've seen that a couple times with Wahoo taking advantage of being unblocked as well. All right, I think we've seen this formation just kind of flipped. So now we have these guys on this right side. We got a toss here, like a read option. He's reading this guy. He comes in to play the quarterback, so he's going to toss it. He's got 3 blockers and a puller here. So this is beginning here, 2nd and 24. We should get a pretty good gain. And he does. He's going to bounce it outside. He gets a decent gain. All right, so now we're a little bit wider here. We got your 5 linemen and only 1 tight end this time. All right, we're passing. We're just dropping back. We're also keeping Dorsey home. Dorsey does a good job helping his lineman there. And he's got a wide, or never mind, he was not open. But there's Kaiser, and that's what you're going to want to do here. You're not going to beat this Wahoo team with scheme. You're going to have to beat them with your players. And number 40, Kaiser, is one of those players. Throw it up to him. That's kind of how you're going to have to win this, I think. And so your players for Sidney, you got Kaiser, you got Doty. He made a really nice play there. And you have Dorsey as well. Skip through here. All right, watch some Sidney defense, and then we'll get out of here. Got a 3 front for Sidney. We'll see how they play and adjust whenever it comes to Wahoo and their heavier set. Got a motion, outside run, and they're going to get a nice play there. Wahoo's absolutely going to run plays like that. They have a more dangerous running back who has excellent vision. So all 11 players have to play well versus Kip Brigham. Like we seen earlier, he's going to be very patient and make guys miss. So he's really good vision. Taking what they got. Okay, didn't get there. All right, we need to watch the ball, Sidney. Watch the ball, because we have a coach that is absolutely going to watch us on film, and they're going to give you some hard counts. Nose guard, we cannot be getting off the ball like that here. .44 cleans it up. That's a nice play by 44. Almost got a neutral zone infraction. Looks like it was all covered pretty well down the field. Comes up. 44 is just going to decide, I'm just going to pressure him. Need to pressure him here. Don't let him dance around and get a guy open. That's a nice play by 44. They all rallied pretty well. let's kind of watch here. This leader of the defense is this Mike linebacker here. I kind of want to see him read his keys. You got the movement this way. Let me rewind that. He takes one step to his left because that's where the play action is going. You got number 10 coming this way as well. So there's kind of threatening that way. And we're going to see that with Wahoo a lot. They're going to threaten one way and go the other. But he sees it afterwards. He's going to meet this guy head on. Really, absolutely head on. Crown of the helmet there. And he meets him. He gets some physicality in that play as well to finish off that tackle. Third and 5, got a third and short. Let's see how they play. These guys have got a lot of cushion as well as this. So, and he's just going to kind of run around in the pocket and find his guy who has a lot of cushion. You'd kind of like to see a little bit tighter coverage as far as defensive scheme goes on that play, especially on a 3rd and 5. But number 7 does make a nice enough play to kind of limit the gain on there. And that's a play that he had a lot of green grass. So Brigham might be a little more balanced on this. 2 pullers. We're absolutely going to see this versus Wahoo. He's going to follow him. 44 is in not a fantastic position. You'd like to see him scoot in a little bit. Never mind. That's not 44's spot. He's got to set the edge. You'd like to see the Mike backer here meet him in the hole. Mike backer kind of shoots inside, allows him. So we cannot be doing that against Wahoo. You got to do your job and not cut inside because they will absolutely gash you there. All right, we got a 3-3 here. 2nd and 7. They're going to run the ball. 54. And the other guy, I can't tell, 22, make a really nice with Dorsey. Let's see how they do here. 52 and Dorsey. They're really, really jumpy. You guys at the line, are they like hard count here? Yeah, we're moving before the ball is even snapped. Need to practice that. So right here, this guy makes the play. He's going to just cut inside this double team. And this guy's already on the outside, so that's a nice play by him, recognizing he's got a guy on the outside to help him. Even if he does cut in, he's got that help. But he makes a nice play, uses his speed, and then Dorsey comes and helps clean it up. And they get him down. So that's going to set up a 3rd and long here. So let's kind of see how they play against they're jumping again. Holy. And then there's Rathbone there with the catch. So let's see. And they're trying to like send some pressure, and that's what happens. I guess this Lakeview team can maybe their snap count is, I don't know. That's kind of so again, we got a huge cushion. This guy is playing past the sticks. So they're just gonna take what they give him, fires immediately. He falls. So you'd like to see him play a little more tight there. But yeah, that's gonna conclude the film session here. And we're gonna get you'll see before this, we'll talk about the game. So I'll talk about what I see here briefly in the actual preview with Luke. So that's going to conclude the film. Hopefully we get a couple player interviews. I know Kip Brigham's coming on, so hopefully we get that going. So I will see you guys in those. All right, welcome on Kip Brigham, the running back of Wahoo. I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more and how you guys are feeling. So what's going on?
Hi, I'm Kip Brigham. I'm a senior at Wahoo High School, running back and safety. And yeah, we get another chance to play in the state championships, so we're feeling good.
All right. Obviously, this is a big game for you and your team. We'll talk about some specifics a little later. What is the mindset for you guys heading into this championship game here Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we use our experience that we have in this game, but also we want to go into it with the mindset that we're chasing our first ever championship. We want to stay hungry and kind of stay grounded. So I think that's kind of where we're at.
With a dominant win versus Ashland last week, you and this Wahoo team are scheduled for your third straight playoff appearance or state championship appearance in the past 3 years. How much does this repeated success mean to you and this team?
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, getting to play at Memorial 3 times. Not a lot of people can say they've played at Memorial multiple times, let alone once. So, it's a testament to the work that our team has put in. So I'm really proud of the a lot of the hard work and effort that we put in throughout this year and this run that we've had.
All right, we'll move on to a couple questions about kind of Sydney related. What different challenges does Sydney bring to the table? How are you guys going to prepare for them for like a team like Sydney without going into any game plan specifics?
Yeah, well, they have a really talented team, especially their defense. So that could pose a lot of problems for us. But I think we just have to be on our A game offensively, and ultimately just do us.
All right, and final question about Sydney. If you had to say one thing positive about Sydney, what would it be?
Again, credit to their defense. They got a really solid defense, and then congrats to them for making their first championship. That's a super cool accomplishment.
And then the final question, what has been your favorite experience this year heading into the final game of the season here this next week?
I would definitely say this the semifinal win against Ashland. That was a great time. Obviously, a rivalry game, so that's always fun. Just going out every day with my brothers, my best friends at practice, and then going to war with them. It's always a great time, and I couldn't ask for a better group of teammates.
All right, that is fantastic here, and good luck here this coming week. And I'm excited to watch you guys play, and I appreciate you for coming on as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, so now we are going to move on to Class C2. This is my second favorite game of the series of the 11 man. I think that this is going to be a close game. We'll get that off the rip. So we'll start off here. We'll talk about both of these teams, offense versus defense. So we'll start off here. We'll just get right into it. We're going to go with Ord's offense versus GICC's defense. So, or not Ord, Bishop Neumann, my mistake. Bishop Neumann, of course, they're a run heavy team. They have, I think, in my opinion, they have the best front five, front tight ends, whatever you want to put them in there. They're a really good blocking unit. They're really, really fantastic. But as far as offensive, they run a lot of read option, a lot of triple option. They like to run the same type of play a couple times in a row and then kind of tendency break and run a different type of play, that kind of stuff. So they really do enjoy, excuse me, they really do enjoy running that triple option and giving multiple guys a chance to get the ball in their hands. So GICC defensively, there are three front. Um, they haven't been super spectacular, but they are a decent team. Their secondary, I think, is the highlight of that defense. They have been pretty decent all year. And the game to really, really prove that is that Bergen Catholic game. Bergen Catholic is a passing offense. They were able to pick the ball off twice. So, but I don't think that the secondary is going to have a chance to exploit anything really, just because that they're not going to have that chance because this Bishop Neumann team that they're playing is a run heavy team. But what we can gather, uh, Cedar or Central Catholic JCC last week in the semifinal game. They played Ord. They allowed 5.7 yards per carry, which is not a very fantastic number. They allowed two guys to get over 100 yards, including their quarterback and Hayden Nelson, number 11, the senior. What the deal with that is GIC or Bishop Neumann is going to run a lot of those similar type of plays. So they're going to be using their quarterback Fujan in the run game. They're going to be using They're Jack Van Slyke in the run game. He's a really powerful runner, and they're also going to be getting the receivers out, kind of motioning and getting behind him and running like the triple option outside of that. So you threat getting a speedier guy the football. So when it comes to that, that's a tough challenge for this team. Um, Bishop Neumann, offensively, yeah, just like we said, they're running triple option. It's going to be a tough thing to stop. So, what I think about this certain matchup, which is Bishop Newman's offense versus GICC's defense, I think Bishop Newman's offense has a pretty big advantage here. Um, when we look down the schedule, though, this is where I kind of get a little bit more on board with GICC. I think Bishop Neumann will be the favorite in this game. But uh, but this is where I get more on board with GICC winning this game is how Malcolm was able to upset them. Malcolm kind of runs a really, really similar type of offense where they're getting the ball out quick into their playmakers. They GICC runs that type of offense as well, and GICC sometimes they like to throw the ball deep as well. So we'll talk about that now since we already transitioned to that. So GICC's offense versus Bishop Newman's defense. I think this is where the offense gets the advantage in the matchup. I think this is going to be an offensive game. The offenses both have matchups. Right now, there's going to be a little bit of wind on on Tuesday, which they do play. We're going to look at it right now, mid preview. We're going to look at the weather right now. So look at the wind. I think they're playing at uh, nothing crazy, 21 mile per hour winds, maybe. Or yeah, that is a pretty big number, but we'll see how that goes. They like to run the quick game anyways, so maybe it's more of a quick game type of run. But they also have a running back that can get it done as well. Jack Albers has played pretty well throughout the season, and they like to get him in space as well. They really really like to swing past him, um, and also they like to threaten the Wildcat as well, where they have him at Wildcat and then they switch. They like shift over and have their running back or their quarterback Grayson Sack behind the center. Yeah, that's not too much to say about that anymore. I think that the offenses, of course, they both have their matchups. I think they're both going to have success in their matchups as well. I think this is going to be a game, man. I'm really how this really goes. Um, I guess we can look at some extra things. We're going to look down the schedule. So we'll start with Bishop Neumann, kind of looking versus how they play against passing teams, or kind of. But of course, the standout one is Malcolm, where they run a similar type of offense. So that Malcolm game is a really big teller for me. I think that this is a game that they could struggle with. They really, really could. Um, Really, that's the only team that I see that is similar. I mean, Kearney Catholic is a passing offense, but they kind of run it a lot differently. They like to run around, and where I think that Bishop Newman's front was just a lot better than Kearney Catholic's. I think that that's not going to be a sufficient game plan, and also Boss Hammer is probably a little bit better in the scramble drill. But JCC, we'll look at how they play against run heavy teams. Ord is the big, big one. They lost Ord, but then they turn around and beat Ord. Um, they beat Boone Central, who is not. They don't have a dominant front like Bishop Neumann, so that's going to be another thing. They really have not played a front outside of Ord, who has been so big and so good. So I'll talk about it in the film that we're going to watch after this. I think that the front is going to be the difference maker here. I think that the front is all is what it is. I think that the front is going to be the main thing that gets Bishop Neumann over the hump. But I think with that Malcolm game, it's super. How do I put this? Promising for GICC that Malcolm was able to beat them and hold them on the ground. I think Malcolm has probably a little more size up front and a little better defense front. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll go right into the film right now and then stick after the film. We're going to do the fantasy team fast, and also we will do the player interview with Connor Haney. Didn't get anybody for Bishop Neumann like last year. All right, so now we head over to the Class C2 film. Um, So we got, of course, I couldn't find the latest game for GICC, but I did find their rematch, or the game before the rematch, versus Ord. But we'll start with Bishop Neumann here, versus UTAN, just from last week. So this should be a really good watch for us. So let's go ahead and let's dive into it. Obviously, this was a tight game. This was somewhat in the game. So we'll watch 2 drives of each offense and defense for Bishop Neumann, and we'll get going. So, of course, this Bishop Neumann is a team that's going to want to run the ball. Of course, we're going to start here. We are in traditional 5 front, and then you have this tight end to the left, 2 receivers, and then just kind of an I formation with that quarterback or that running back. And it's just going to be like a fullback read with Fujan there. And he's a really good quarterback. He's dangerous in the run game, as we just seen. And he's just an athletic player. Last year, I think he played receiver. So he is an athletic player that knows what to do with the ball in his hands, as we see right there. This is certainly this Bishop Neumann front is just going to be really, really tough to handle for GICC. They're a big group of players. They're really, really well coached. As you see there, they are just dominating the line of scrimmage. It's the same type of play, but just to the outside. It looks like he fumbled. But I mean, yeah, this is what they do. Looks like they fumbled. Okay, so they did fumble. So now, I mean, this is not a bad thing, really. You can see how they react to adversity. And we're just going to dive. So UTAN is a completely different offense than GICC. So maybe this isn't the greatest defensive game to watch. I mean, I guess we can circle in on some of the players in specific. Most certainly the secondary. We definitely need to see what we can gather from the secondary as far as me making my pick. But this game is probably my second favorite game out of any of the 11-man football games this week, just because I think this is going to be a really competitive one. All right, we didn't get a chance to break down what the front looked like last time, so it's a 3 front, but with 3 down linemen. But we do have some overhangs here just to combat this super heavy personnel by U10, which I don't know if we're going to see too much of this heavy personnel by GICC. They like to get the ball out in space. That's a nice play by 18. I think that's Van Slyke. Van Slyke is a really, really good player. Really fast and aggressive, and a strong player as well. Who is one of the best offensive and defensive players in this class, which I probably should have had him at the MVP voting, but we'll see what happens there. All right, looking at a play action. He's going to just roll out. Boom. Nice play there. Didn't make the tackle, but you did slow him down. I like to see that against the pass. And that's going to set up 4th and 5. So then we get to see this offense back on the field. So let's see what we have here. Again, decently heavy. Just that I formation again. 2 receivers on the outsides. Yep, they're just working. Miscommunication on the double team there, but Van Slyke is a really strong runner. That's going to make those guys. And maybe that was supposed to be the read guy and not exactly the right read. I couldn't tell you exactly. I don't want to rewind it, and we'll rewind it just to see what happened, because this huddle is a pain to navigate. YouTube is way better. I wish that most of these teams could get me on YouTube. Okay, so the guy that makes the play is number 55 right here. So we're just kind of seeing it's these 2 linemen that are handling him unless he is left as a read. We'll see if it's maybe a miscommunication or misread. Okay, so it is going to be a misread. This guy he's sitting. He should have the quarterback probably should have taken it and went to the outside, and then read this player right here. but gives it in. Jack Van Slyke makes a really nice run out of nothing. So that's, again, he's a really, really strong runner, and he's going to make those plays, even with maybe not the greatest read. Really like him as a player. The more I watch him, the more I appreciate his playing. So these two lines are pretty big. So these are probably the two biggest lines, in Class C2. So there will probably be a size differential. I'll have to see what GICC looks like after we finish up here. Working on a double on that nose. It's the same exact play. This time he takes it, and that's what you like to see. He makes a nice athletic play, cuts it up inside, and then makes a guy miss, and then gets a good gain there. So he corrected what he did wrong with the first play, and then he calls his own number, and he makes a pretty nice play there. Got a different personnel here. They're switching guys in and out. Van Slyke's coming out, and 14's coming in. I mean, this is just a team that's going to run the ball, wear you down. This time we're not in I formation. We're in a shotgun with the running back behind, trips on the left, and a lone receiver to the right. We got a puller. That right guard is going to pull. Not the greatest pull. And then he doesn't get too much as a gain there. Next play, same formation. We're looking at a 2nd and 8. Takes a snap. Same exact play, but he takes it. And that's a really nice run. So their tendency so far is that they are going to run 2 similar plays in a row, but then fake you on the next one. That's a good philosophy to have. It's kind of like the wing T philosophy, but it's not quite the wing T. This is a little more respectable of an offense, if you will. Okay. So what this tells me, GICC, I'm going to look in their game, and I need to see if this team is going to be as disciplined, because they're certainly going to be needed to be disciplined, especially with containing this quarterback here. So we're in a brand new formation here. We've got 2 backs on either side of the quarterback, 2 receivers to the right, just 5 linemen down. So we'll see what they like to run out of this formation. Okay, it's just going to be like a triple option pretty much. The option is with this guy, I believe, or maybe no, it's this one. So the option is here. He's staying, so he's probably going to give it right here. And he does. And a decent gain. Nothing crazy. And that's what the triple option brings you and presents to you. Okay, we're in a new formation. So I like how they're switching formations. I like how they're utilizing different types. We've seen this formation, though. It's just a different one than the play prior. Got 5 linemen. This guy's kind of sitting back a little bit. That kind of tells me that it's going to be a pass. A little bit of a miscommunication there. Looking for his receiver. I'm not sure. Maybe he was expecting like a sit-down route or something. Didn't connect. Defensively, hard count. Gets them to move a little bit on the line. Going to be a toss play. And they make a nice play there. That's Van Slyke again. He's all over the field. He's a really good player, like I said before. But the biggest thing here is I kind of want to see the secondary be tested, because they will be tested against GICC, because they run a little bit more things that are going to test the secondaries. So I hope that we can see a little bit of something here, passing game wise, to see how these secondary players react. And they will. I mean, that's pretty much just an extension of the run game. Runs out and throws like a little wheel route, whatever you want to call that. Okay, it was a 3rd and 5, and they ran the ball. Okay. Max preps. Or not max preps. Huddle. All right. They're just playing against a heavy, heavy run team, so not sure how much we're going to be able to gather from the secondary here. I can gather that they are good enough versus the run. They aren't like gashing them on the outsides, and they're trying to keep things into the end. But they are playing decent so far, especially in the run game. They're rallying well. Nothing explosive. Again, same formation for the offense. Got a polar. Really, really nice play by Vance Like. I mean, he is definitely a problem. I mean, he's a really good player. I haven't watched too much of him defensively, but he's made a really nice play there. Just kind of read his keys, followed that polar, and just beat him there, really. Next play, we'll finish this drive up defensively, and then we'll watch one more offensively. Or no, we'll watch a couple plays offensively. And then here we go, another pass, just a quick out. I mean, we can't really gather too much from the passing offense. That's like an illegitimate pass, really. Here's a pass. Oh my. This is quite the play design. Okay. That was weird. I guess we'll watch that again. We had the quarterback play actioning to a side with absolutely no receivers. I'm not quite sure what we're doing here. Okay, let's see how they react, I guess. Okay, it's going to be like a fake triple option. Maybe this guy goes the wrong way. Maybe he's supposed to be coming this way on the triple option or something. Nope, it's a play action in this area. I don't even know. I mean, 57 has no way to tell if there's a receiver over here or not. So, I mean, maybe that was the play to like kind of like a backside rollout. I don't know. That was a weird play. Not the greatest play. All right, watch a couple of these offensive plays and then we'll switch over to GICC. Another triple option, gets it to the outside. It's a few yards, maybe 2. Or any, maybe not any. Flipping sides from the quarter. Okay, so flag on the play, but let's see what they were anticipating to happen. Because this was definitely a play that I could see working. So immediately, we're threatening the triple option right here, of course, with this play action, and also this guy coming across. So immediately you think this is a play or a triple option, but instead, looks like we have just a regular pass play. The linemen are not upfield, so not an RPO. And then we're looking at this guy right here. He comes open. So maybe if you held onto the ball a little bit longer, you find this guy to be open. Okay, so I couldn't really tell where the ball went, but that's definitely a play to watch out for. So this is going to be a good big play that we've seen. I accidentally skipped forward a little bit. All right, so let's see. We've seen this formation with 2 backs on either side. I think they ran triple option of it. And that's what they'll do. Fujon's going to take it himself, pitches it. Nice read. Maybe a hold on the outside. Yep, they do call it. Okay, so that's going to come back. All right. This will be the last play we watch for Bishop Neumann, and then we'll move on to GICC. Again, same thing. Triple option. Nope. We're just going to play action, and it's just a one-step drop to the outside receiver, kind of on like a comeback sit route. Okay, so that's what we're going to finish up there. So now we're going to move over to GICC versus Ord. This was their first game and not the one that they just played. So we'll see what happens here. All right. I mean, this is a team that's going to spread you out. You got these two receivers to the outside, one over here, or two over here, and a running back to his right, and just 5 down linemen, it looks like. Yep. They're going to hand it off. Not too much there. Okay. Looking at the same formation, but instead the running back is behind him. It's going to be a speed option. Running back reading this guy right here, kind of similar to what we just watched, but this guy's staying. The read should be right now is to pitch it to number 11 here, and he does. Number 11 has plenty of room. He's a fast player, gets a big gain on the second play of the game. Holy smokes. We are lagging. We're going to have to skip that play. What in the world? Okay, we're going to just skip right into the middle. That's what we're going to do. So we're skipping to the middle of the game. Ord is up right now, 14-7. So let's see how they play. All right, we're back on offense. 4 receivers, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and then the running back to his right. Looks like there's a timeout. Got a little bit of movement here. Oh, they're just going to punt. Okay, never mind. All right, well, all right, let's see some GICC defense. Looks like we're in a 4-front immediately, 4-2. Ord spread out. Or no, we are in a 3-front with 55 as an overhang. Just going to be a quarterback draw. There's 2 guys for everybody, so but they do make a nice play there. They held them to a little bit, and they're going to probably let the clock run out, so we'll skip some more. That was half. Okay. I'm getting cursed with this broadcast. Holy. Okay. All right. Now we're back on defense. Got a new look here. 55 a little more tight. Nice run. They did lose the line of scrimmage there. So I think that this immediately on tape, I think that Bishop Neumann's line is going to have a big advantage here. So it's going to be up to these skill players to make plays. Not too much there. All right, we're really heavy up front now. Really heavy. Obviously, we're selling out versus a run. They're going to give. And they definitely lose the line of scrimmage there. Gets a couple yards there. Really, the main thing is I think both of these offenses are going to have success offensively. And I think that is just how this game's going to go. I think it's going to be a little bit high scoring, maybe. Fumbles a snap and still gets it. That's a nice play by Williams there. He's a really good player. All right, so let's watch this offense. That's I guess the main point here. I think that both of these teams are going to put up points as I just watched this GICC defense. Ord is a really good team though, but I think that Bishop Neumann has probably the best front in Class C2. All right, so here we go. This is what we're looking at. Huge cushion. So we'll see what they do with that. This receiver right here is really tight. They kind of just motion over. Got this guy coming out in the flats, and they're going to give it to him in a lot of space. So ideally, you got these two blocking up, get them to the outside. And they do. I mean, that's a good play for first down. You gain, I don't know, what was it, 6 yards? Oh, that was 9 yards. This is a weird angle. All right. 2nd and 1. This is where you take your shots. Second and 1. Got trips to the left. This is what they tell you. Yes, this is a pass offense, but they have 5 of their linemen here. No tight ends, no chip help. So that tells you that they are really confident in this offensive line. And I think that these guys are different than their defensive line, I believe. So we don't have too much two-way guys. Got another shift here. Kind of like shifting, threatening the Wildcat maybe. Okay, they're going to run the same exact play just to the outside, but they were ready for it. Or the opposite way. But they were ready for that play. Didn't take a shot there, but now we're in 3rd and 7. We're in the 3rd and long now. Just 5 down linemen. 4 receivers to the outside. Or play actioning. Ooh, that was almost a pick 6. Okay. So we do have a lot of pressure. Up front by Ord. You got 2 pulling guards and a play action on 3rd and 7. Not sure if I necessarily like that call as much. You'd like to see them just drop back and pass it. But we'll see. We're going to skip through the defense a little bit. We'll watch a couple plays here. Here we go. Jordan Williams that was a crazy play getting out of that sack, but he does end up getting sacked. I'm curious to what GICC is going to run defensively, if they're going to keep it out of 3 front. Oh, and an interception. Okay, so let's see what happened here. What was successful for this GICC defense? Just got 5 here. The running back coming out in the flats. He's got pressure by 51. Let's see 51's rep here. 51 is working as a defensive end on this tackle. Never mind, he didn't get too much pressure. But an interception. They take advantage of a bad throw. Picks it off. All right, let's watch some more offense, and then we'll get out of here. We're just going to give it on a draw. They really just want to establish the run game. They're down by 14. I'd like to see a little more urgency. As far as, or not more urgency, a little more aggression. Play calling. It's just an RPO, get to the outside, makes a nice play, makes a guy miss. Number 1, he's going to be their guy. I think that's Haney. He's going to have to be the biggest factor in this game. Got a bunch of down blocks. An okay run. Nothing much. All right, we're on a 4th and 1. They're in the shotgun. They switch it. They're going to punt. Okay. Rainbow of a snap. All right, we haven't watched too much offense, so I'm going to skip through and we're going to see if I can find some more offense. Okay, we're on offense here. Same formation. We do this formation a lot. So, quick pass. Number 1, Haney. This guy takes advantage of the cushion. Nice play. And then nice recognition by the quarterback. Takes a snap. Again, quick out to Haney. Makes the guy miss. Flies forward. Tries to get another quick out. Incomplete. So this is... They aren't sitting in the pocket for too long. Makes a guy go. Just going to give the guy a shot in the end zone. Incomplete. Giving him a jump ball. Shorter receiver. You kind of want to see that for Haney. They also have Haney working in the slot quite a bit. They're going to call false start on him. Okay, this is what I like. This concept, excuse me, this concept is really, really nice. So of course we have a comeback here, and then we have a corner here by Haney. Haney's gonna try to take this guy and this guy out of the play, even, or this guy too. Just kind of mesh things up a little bit, and not to mention you got this guy coming in on an out. So the idea is to have 8 here come across the field, and then make a play, which he does. He catches the ball, and then he gets a nice yardage there. But in theory, that could be bigger. Just kind of another swing pass to the outside. Okay, well, that was, I guess that was 4th or whatever it was. Okay, so we'll skip through and watch a little more offense. I kind of want to see how this offense is going to play. Okay, well, that's what we're gonna call it good there. So now we'll make our pick. My pick here is I think that these teams are both really talented, and I think that Class C2 is really, really tough to grade and tough to predict. So take the pick with a little bit of a grain of salt. But for my pick here, I think it's going to be a really close game. Excuse me, and I think that this could be just a 1-score game or whatever it is, and maybe this is a high-scoring game as well. I think that that's the path of victory here for GICC. I think that they're going to have to put up some points to win this game. Obviously, Ord here, they were able to beat Ord a little bit better last time they played. So actually, let's go look at that right now. While we make our pick, I want to see how they improved versus Ord in the stat sheet. Apologize for that, but okay. I want to see, because I know they performed better, but this could sway my opinion a little bit because I think Ord is really good. All right. Grayson Sack went 12 for 17, 206 yards. They didn't run the ball very well. They also didn't in the game before. Of course, Connor Haney was their main guy, yardage-wise, and then Stava also getting involved. So, yeah, they're going to have to rely on these guys receiving. I think that this can be a higher scoring game. I think that it should be a higher scoring game, and it should be within 1 point. But I'm going to pick Bishop Neumann here. I think that they are really, really good. I think that the front is going to be a huge problem for GICC. I think that what this game comes down to is I think that Bishop Neumann has the better front, but I think that GICC has the better skill playmakers. That's what I think is going to happen here. And at the end of the day, the front is really, really what drives the games. So I'm going to go with Bishop Neumann here. But again, I think it's going to be a one score game, maybe 10 points or something like that. So I think that this is going to be a close game. And both of these teams are excellent. I really like to watch both of these teams, especially GICC here. They kind of run a different offense than most. So that's going to be my pick. And we're going to move on to the player interviews. And now we bring on Connor Haney from GICC. I'll let him introduce himself a little bit before we get into these few questions. What's going on, Connor? How are you feeling?
Feeling very good. Feeling excited for our state championship game. Very ready.
All right, we'll hop right into these questions. This is obviously a really big game for you and your team. What is the mindset for you guys heading into this huge state championship game?
Yeah, obviously, first state championship potential for our school. It's a lot to think about, but we're just going to keep it very simple. We're just trying to be ourselves and play to our standard.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, this is a historic type of matchup. GIC doesn't exactly have the most fantastic history in terms of making it to the championship game. How is your surroundings with the community, fans, and school support? How has that been for you guys through this historic year for GICC?
Yeah, it's definitely helped us out a lot. Our parents are incredible and they're extremely supportive. We have food and drinks all the time after practice. We have team dinners before games, and that really gets us fueled up. And then everybody at our school is just really encouraging. They're obviously excited too because it's something new that they've never experienced before. So kind of just everybody in our GICC community is just like really excited and pumped up.
Great to hear. So you guys are playing the run out from last year. How does it playing a team like this who has experience in the state championship game? How does that change from your week to week schedule that you had throughout the season?
Yeah, our schedule this year wasn't extremely tough. And so every game that we've had so far in the playoffs has kind of gotten increasingly harder. So we're definitely not scared to play Bishop Neumann, but we're definitely expecting them to know they're going to be a good competing team. It's going to be a tough game. So just kind of got to get ready during practice for it.
Gave a little bit of a glimpse on the kind of highlighting some of the things they do. If you had to say something positive about Bishop Neumann, what would it be?
They're incredible at running the football. A lot of big guys up front, big running back. Jack Van Slyke, he's an extremely good football player. So that's going to be a key is defending their run game.
All right. And for the final question, what has been your favorite experience this year heading up to this state final game?
I don't think I could pinpoint one exact experience that I've had this season, but kind of I think all the emotions that we felt throughout the season, obviously our first loss to Ord and then beating them the second time we played them, it's kind of we've had our lows and we've also felt our highs. So that's definitely some of the most exciting things of the season, is just that you get to feel every single emotion and we're not taking any of it for granted.
For sure. And so thank you for coming on and good luck this Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this Tuesday.
Okay, gotcha. All right, good luck then. And
Thanks.
thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.